An ABC Sports presentation of college football brings you a huge game in Lincoln, Nebraska. Number 2, Nebraska against the 8th-ranked Huskies of Washington. Hi again, everybody. I'm Brad Nessler. We welcome you to Tom Osborne Field at Memorial Stadium here in Lincoln. It's almost an exact opposite of a year ago. Remember, a number 2 ranked Washington team took on 8th ranked Nebraska up in Seattle. Well, here come the Cornhuskers, and now they're the team that's ranked number 2 in the nation. People are questioning whether or not that number 2 national ranking is deserved. Last year, those questions on whether or not number 2 national ranking was deserved was with Washington. And Brock Huard, under a heavy rush, went down in the first quarter. Washington lost their starting signal caller. It brought a freshman, Marcus Tuiasosopo, to the forefront, but it also spelled disaster for Washington. They had no chance during that game and for a long stretch, in fact, in a season where they went 8-4. But Garrett Danielson, they've got their quarterback back today. Brock Huard is back. So are his starting wide receivers, something he didn't have against BYU last week.
You're right, Brad. And as much as Washington's going to depend on that left arm of Brock Huard, they're going to depend on some feet from his wide receivers. They got some good feet. I'm telling you, the fastest feet in college football, Jawarren Hooker, and an old point guard buddy from high school, Dane Looker. 2 receivers. Give you an idea how different this Washington attack team is this year. First time since Lambright's been the coach, 2 receivers over 100 yards receiving in that Arizona State game.
So they've got a looker, a hooker, and if Huard's on, he could be a cooker
Real
in this
cooker.
one today. And it's hot because I'm sweating right now. Bobby Newcomb and D'Angelo Evans, though, the starting quarterback and I-back, are in this game for Nebraska, and that's something they haven't seen yet this year.
Boy, they got some weapons this year. Bobby Newcomb. Now, how would you like to face this if you were Washington? He's got a better arm than Scott Frost, and he's faster than Tommy Frazier. He will provide the big plays today, but he's going to get some help because D'Angelo Evans is back. He's healthy from the first time since 1996 against Texas, and they're going to look for some big plays from the I-back. This should be real interesting. Everybody's got their gun loaded for this one.
Well, they got a lot of extra people back for Nebraska. They've had 9 players that have missed part or all of the first 3 games. You take a look, 2 guys still are out. In Lance Brown, their starting wingback, and also Ortiz, the linebacker, who suffered a concussion on Tuesday. Everybody else is back, and that's going to make Nebraska that much tougher, especially at home. 44 straight. The last team to beat them, Washington, here in '91. Let's send it to New York and John Saunders, guys. A packed house for the 223rd straight time, and that goes back to the first year under Bob Devaney as head coach. And since the loss that everybody talks about back in '91, Nebraska's won 79 and lost only 7. And they have met other top 20 teams here, and they've defeated them all. None of these players, of course, were involved in that one, but they all know about it. It's well documented. And the kickoff handled by Nebraska, and they get it out to the 18-yard line. Chevin Wiggins, the starting wingback, on a 13-yard return. The Biggins, as we look at the Chili starting lineups up front, Jolt Sherman, Heskew, who's an Outland candidate, Gessford, and Schwab. Kenny Cheatham and Chevin Wiggins, the wide receiver. Sheldon Jackson's an excellent tight end, maybe the best they've had here since Johnny Mitchell. And in the backfield, old dependable Joel Makovica was the number 4 rushing fullback in the entire country last year. Evans back in there, and Bobby Newcomb, number 12, is at quarterback. And it's Newcomb on the option keeper. Bobby Newcomb got the corner all the way out to the 41-yard line, but a penalty marker down. He picked up 24 yards, but let's see if they'll bring it back. Our referee today, John Laurie. It is holding Nebraska. So that will back it up and negate a 24-yard pickup. 10-yard line. So it'll be 1st down and 17 now. Back at the 11, and a power I for Nebraska. And Newcomb asking for some quiet from the fans in the end zone. Here's the toss, almost fumbled by Evans, and he's going to go down in a heap for a loss. Back near the 9-yard line. He lost a couple. Defensively for Washington, Smith, Tuiaya, and Jabari Issa, the 3-man front. The linebacking core, including a rush end in Jeremiah Farms. Hairston, Towns, and Todd Johnson right now leads the Pac-10 in tackles. And in the secondary, Teray Butler was the hero last week. Not only a punt return for a score, but a fumble recovery for a touchdown as well helped them beat BYU. Jones, Burton, and Smith round out the secondary. So number 2, Nebraska, with a 2nd down and 20 now. They'll work from an unfamiliar shotgun. And here's Bobby Newcomb on the run. And a fumble. And Washington, did they get to it?
I think they called him down. Yeah, I think they called him down, Brad, before the ball was whistled. But you can see the real ability that Newcomb has in the pocket. In fact, yesterday, Frank Solich told us that he doesn't care if they drop back and everyone's covered because the best guy, his best running back, has the ball in the pocket.
Well, he's no doubt the fastest one they have back there.
2nd fastest player on the team.
2 touchdowns rushing already. That came in the season opener against Louisiana Tech. And now 4 wideout grouping for Newcomb. Heavy pressure. He got away from that. Here he goes on the scramble. Pulls it down. Got across at 25. He got a 1st down. Well, there's the dimension that he can give you. He was dead in the water way back inside the 10-yard line, and he picks up a 1st down.
Not only does Bobby Newcomb give you the feet with the option, but plays outside of the offense. As Frank Solich told us yesterday, people were wondering why we threw so much. Well, here's a reason why. If no one is wide open, give it to your best player. Oops, he's already got it. Let's go with it.
Here's Evans trying to get the corner, and he does. A stiff arm and a dive forward to the 41-yard line. He's got another 1st down.
Brad, already in this game, one of the worrisome points for Washington, Lester Towns, their inside linebacker, is already out of the game with that foot injury. He had a big toe coming into the game. Looks like he re-injured it on the first play of the game. You can see the quickness D'Angelo Evans gives this Nebraska team from the tailback. What a story, out almost a year and a half with injuries.
Played in December of '96 in the Big 12 championship game. And there's Lester Towns that Gary was talking about on the sideline.
Lester Towns is their Mike linebacker, their middle linebacker, calling most of the signals. He is a guy that the Washington people, especially Randy Hart, their coordinator, was most concerned about, saying we'll just have to give it a go and see where it is from there.
He had 3 tackles for loss and a sack against BYU, and now he sacked himself over on the sideline. 1st down, Nebraska. We haven't seen Makovica handle it yet, the fullback. He's there in the eye. 1st down from the 42-yard line. Washington jumped, and now Newcomb takes the snap. Flags down. Josh Heskew just snapped it to Newcomb.
What happens there, and at practice I saw this, Nebraska will get up and go hut, 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 and then wait for Bobby Newcomb to call out a color, and then it's the next, like, on 2 after a color. If someone jumps off from Washington, they'll just snap the ball and take a free 5 yards.
So the color's yellow. 5 yards walked off against Washington.
Hut, 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 hut. If somebody moves, another guy moves, then snap the ball. There's the center. Give us 5 yards. Thank you very much. Issa and Tuiaya, both listening more than watching.
So Frank Solich's club gets a free 5. 1st and 5 as they moved it out to the 47-yard line. 2 tight ends set. Here's Evans, 2nd man through. Got near midfield, and it'll bring up 2nd down and about 3. Frank Solich, longtime assistant, 19 years as an assistant coach here. And for the first time in 15 years, 4 weeks ago, was on the sideline. Right. He says, I love it down there.
Love it because he doesn't have to go through Tom Osborne to call the plays. He's calling them himself. Of course, Jim Lambright, also a longtime assistant.
He was in the booth in '91 as defensive coordinator under Don James when the upset was pulled here. Here's Makovica, And he gets stood up and bent backwards, but he may have gotten the first down. Very close to it. Nigel Burton came up from the secondary to straighten up number 45. Burton, a heck of a player for Washington, and he has been in this building before. None of the other Washington team members have ever played here. He transferred from Pacific.
We're already on our Affleck trivia question, or is this?
Oh boy, I hope I didn't blow it.
No,
I don't think I did. Transferred after Pacific dropped their football program, and he's a co-captain on this team now, but he says he remembers playing back here in that Pacific game, and he thinks the fans here are pretty nice, actually. Thinks they're pretty hospitable. In a way, it was the greatest day in my college football career to that point. In another way, it almost made me want to throw up. He had a great game. He had 11 tackles and an interception, but the noise in here and 76,000 fans decked in red can make you upset to your stomach.
Well, just imagine how the tailback and the quarterback felt for Pacific. They probably were throwing up. Getting all those black shirts on you. Third and about an inch here. Or second and about an inch here.
7 plays. All have been runs, as this one will be. Quarterback sneak and a first down for Newcomb.
Boy, there was a late hit, too, that time. Coming up from Akbar, the young free safety.
He played a lot last week, and he had an interception against BYU. Akbar did. Well, they're going to bring the chains out. I thought this was an automatic. We're so high up here, maybe I'm too far away. I don't know.
One look here, how Lester Towns got hurt early in the game. I don't know how well he was running to begin with. But as he tries to stop, he kind of just comes down on that ankle, and it was probably week before that even play started the first time. Remember we had Grant Irons in that one game when he said he was going to play, hobbled around, and really wasted most of the game for Michigan that day before they actually took him out of the game.
First down by half the length of the football, so Nebraska's got its first foray into Husky territory.
Well, you know, Nebraska has not thrown a pass yet in this game, but they've called 2 passes in this game. So that's pretty good. You're 2 for 2 in your passing game. Just haven't put it in the air.
Matt Davison, the lone wide out here with a 2 tight end group. First down, Nebraska, opening drive of the game. Nice play fake. Newcomb wants Davison. Goes that way, complete. Down to the 35-yard line. 12-yard rope, and a first down. And a penalty marker at the end of the play.
They're going to tack on some yards on the end of this one, I think. Inside is where the game is going to be determined in this football game. Washington must not only have to play the option in the power running game and the trap game, but now every once in a while they're going to have to rush the passer. Can they get any pressure on this guy Newcomb without flushing him out of the pocket? That is something that the Washington defense is scared to death about.
Keep in mind now, Nebraska early in this drive had a 3rd and 11. Newcomb got a 13-yard scramble. Jim Lambright doesn't like the call, but the personal foul moves it all the way down to the 20-yard line. 1 pass, and it was complete just a moment ago. First down at the 20. Makovic is straight ahead, bounces off a couple would-be tacklers. He's got it, first and goal. He is tough. 17 yards down to the 3.
One of the things that Nebraska does better than anyone in the country is use the quick count. Come up and snap the ball. Washington was caught in a stunt that time before they even got it started. Makovic gets the ball. Look at his great balance. And Brad, we saw those guys in warm-ups working on their balance with 1 foot on the field. I think that's a good drill. I'm going to put that one in.
Almost like the one-arm push-up.
Yep.
They're perfect in the red zone this year. First and goal at the 3. Power on. Newcomb on the option. He'll keep. He'll score. Woo.
Well, we were told that Bobby Newcomb was missing his explosive speed. I don't know.
That was an impressive drive. Of course, it was helped by penalties, but here he is from 3 yards out.
It's the load option. A lead back, the fullback, and the quarterback all outside the end that time, and Newcomb just trots into the end zone. That's as easy as you can get. 4 running backs in the backfield when you face Nebraska near the goal line. That's why they're so successful inside the 10-yard line.
Brown's extra point is good. 82-yard march to open the game, capped by Bobby Newcomb. That's his 3rd rushing touchdown here early in the season. Bobby Newcomb, you love being on the headset to talk to everybody upstairs when everything went right to open up the game. 82-yard drive, capped by a touchdown. 7-0 Nebraska. Chris Brown's got it teed up. Teray Butler and Joe Jarzinka are back deep. Going to have to get deep on this one. Butler 6 yards in, had a notion and took a knee. So Washington will start offensively from its own 20, and the big eaters up front of the Chili starting lineup. Silvers, Coates, who's moved from tackle to guard, Hutt, Ward, and Dalen on the front 5. Dane Looker back, as Gary said, favorite receivers so far for Brock Huard, with Hooker, Davis, and Harris. And in the backfield, Brock Huard at quarterback, Maurice Shaw, and Pat Conniff is the fullback. We may see a 4-wide receiver group to start the game. Let's see how they bring them out. Virtually a 4-wide receiver group, because John Westra, an extra tight end, is in the slot on the left side. Now he comes in tight, and it's first down Washington from its own 20. Play fake, Huard, pressure right away, has it batted in the air, knocked his own pass away. A good move, or it would have been a loss of 15. And right off the bat, Chad Kelsey putting some heat on Brock Huard.
Washington comes out trying to open up this field. A quick play, and naked to the outside, get the ball to one of those tight ends. And here's a little bit of leadership and a little bit of experience not catching that ball, because that would have been a big loss.
So second down and 10, no harm done. Although maybe to the psyche of the quarterback, who's already seen his first pass batted up in the air. Now Brock will work from the shotgun. They'll hand it off inside to Shaw. Flags down immediately, which would indicate holding where it went thrown. Eric Johnson made the tackle. A swarming Nebraska defense as we take a look. Up front, Kelsey's already batted a pass. Warren and Kaiser inside. Mike Rucker, their rush in, who could be on his way to an All-American season. Shaw, Jay Foreman, Eric Johnson, who made that last tackle, the linebacking core, and the leader of the secondary, and really the leader of the defense, Mike Brown, already their leading tackler. He had an interception last week. Sweeney, Walker, and Ralph Brown round out the secondary, but we'll also see quite a bit of Clint Finley today. He has not played since being injured a couple of weeks ago, but could be back in the lineup at any time.
Well, long-time Nebraska defensive coordinator Charlie McBride hopes we see a lot of Clint Finley, because that really was the missing link against Louisiana Tech when they racked up all those yards. Two people playing out of position, and I think there was a lot of confusion in that game.
Rucker, who's been battling injuries, only played one series against Cal 2 weeks ago. That bye week last week got Nebraska much healthier. They didn't play a week ago today. 3 penalties already on Washington, the last of which has backed them up to the 10-yard line. Second down and 20. Brock Huard stands at his own 5. Again, they try the quick opening draw to Shaw. He got 2, and that's it. Kari Reynolds from the secondary made the play. Shaw does not have the kind of speed or explosiveness of Rashawn Sheehy, the man he's trying to replace.
Well, and I think that was the difference in the year last year for Washington. Things were going around pretty well until they lost Sheehy last year. You know, they survived the Nebraska game. They really survived Brock Huard's injury because Tuiasosopo did so well. But when they lost the speed from Sheehy, I still don't think this Washington offense is recovered.
3 wideouts, including Looker, who's in a slot left. On third down at 18, Nebraska pins their ears back, trying to get some pressure on Huard. He's going deep. Man out there and overshot him by about 5 yards. Andre Desaussure had a step back there, but it's incomplete, and Washington will have to kick.
Washington cannot lose first down in this game. That batted down pass didn't look like much, but you get behind the down and distance in this game, and that's what Brock Huard's going to be looking at all day. Kelsey and Rucker in his face. Kelsey
got him a little shot in the face on the way by, and that'll bring out Ryan Fleming to punt from his own end zone. Not a spot you want to be in. 9-10 left first quarter. Joe Walker back in punt return formation for the Cornhuskers. Fleming, nice punt. Walker waits on it. Did it hit a Nebraska player? I believe so, and now they scoop it up. And out to about the 40-yard line. That's where Shevin Wiggins, I don't know if he's the guy it hit or not.
Well, if it didn't, it was a very smart play to pick up that ball like that because it could have hit someone.
And there's a penalty marker down at the 43-yard line.
Not quite sure if that ball hit Wiggins or not, but he thought it hit someone, and then he picked it up.
It didn't appear to be interference with the punt returner by Washington special teams.
I thought, yeah,
now they're going to pick it up.
Right. I thought he ran by the guy.
Into the play. No foul. Timeout.
They pick it up, and now we've got a timeout. 8 minutes and 58 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Cornhuskers lead by 7. It is a warm day, clear and windy in Lincoln, Nebraska. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, and our ABC crew with you as the second-ranked Cornhuskers lead by a touchdown. They scored on their opening march, an 82-yard drive. Here's Newcomb on the pitch to D'Angelo Evans. Got the corner again. 50, 40. Evans down the sideline. He might take it. Touchdown. He's back.
He's back. Holy cow. People have been watching Nebraska football and been saying, yeah, you've been rolling up some yards, but where are the big plays? Well, you got to have big players to make big plays. And here's the option. Washington said we must stop the outside phase of the option. So what does Nebraska do? Come with the outside phase of the option, and they block it perfectly. And D'Angelo Evans shows why a big-time tailback can gain big yards for this team.
60 yards to the end zone. Chris Brown in for the point after. And it's up and good. Wow, D'Angelo Evans back in December of '96, the last time he did something like this.
Brad, watch how this line does so well. Watch this guard come out and around and pick up a guy. Instead of settling for the pitch man, they're so well schooled that they pass up a guy and go downfield. That's why big plays happen for Nebraska. Wide receivers blocking downfield, tailbacks doing it, guards running their plays. Everybody thinks big play. They don't settle for 5-yard plays.
D'Angelo Evans had over 700 yards as a freshman 2 seasons back, and he doesn't look like he's suffering from the injury problems, including a knee that he had scoped in August. He had a lower abdominal problem that actually kept him out the whole season. I'd say about the only thing wrong with his abdomen right now are the butterflies going through it as his buddies are pounding him in the end zone.
To tell you the truth, there's probably more butterflies in the purple side right now than there are in the red side.
It's true. 12 seconds is all it took for Nebraska to tack on another touchdown. And you can see we have a windy day as Chris Brown is going to have someone hold the ball for him so it doesn't blow off the tee.
You know, we do so many talk shows nowadays, and since I've come into town, I've done a couple talk shows, and the real talk in Lincoln was how rusty would Bobby Newcomb and D'Angelo Evans be for this football game? Well, I don't see any rust.
I said
it's all knocked off.
I'd say he'd be rusty, but fast rusty. And he was. This kick to Ray Butler again, 6 yards deep. This one he decides to bring. Butler got a little seam to Ray Butler to the middle of the field. And out across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Nifty return. 43 yards is what he officially gets, but you tack on the 6 in the end zone, and he took it almost half the length of the field.
Well, his whole team was saying, stay in there, stay in there, stay in there. Here we go. Let's run. Let's go.
Jarzinka says, oh, I got to throw a block, and he got one there.
He did. He got a half of one there, and then he got 2 more there from Jarzinka. Nice play, and it's exactly what the Huskies needed.
Watch little Joe Jarzinka, smallest guy on the team. Boom, got one there right in the head.
Yep, and then he comes downfield and gets another one.
So, good starting field position for the Huskies from the 43-yard line. Heward, quick drop, now takes off on his own. He got positive yardage, picked up 4. Eric Johnson tracked him down.
He talked to both staffs before this game. Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator for Nebraska, says, we know they're going to throw it quick. They're probably going to throw most of their passes in less than 2 seconds. Then you talk to Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator for Washington. He says, we want to throw quick, less than 2.5 seconds. So let's see how this breaks down. That time he had less than 2 seconds, but he got a pass rush.
Nebraska's front wall down in their track stance again. On a second down. They hand it off to Shaw, and Mo Shaw is going to be close. Reese maybe inches short of this one. We'll wait and see. Into Nebraska territory for the first time today for Washington. And there's Maurice Shaw on the season, only 3.1 per carry.
Tuiasosopo has snuck into the game, Brad.
We'll keep an eye on number 11 to make sure he doesn't sneak in so you can't see him at home.
And you know what? For him to sneak in, I think he's going to have to change numbers.
That's right.
Because Nebraska's well aware of this guy.
There will be times when Tuiasosopo and Heward will be both in the lineup. They're both quarterbacks, but Marcus is a tremendous runner. His career high day came last year after Heward's injury. As you see the numbers 270 and 2 against this very same Nebraska team. Now he comes back out. And Brock Heward looks to the sideline for the call. First down at the 46-yard line.
This is where Washington, and especially Brock Heward, has to tell his team, let's settle down, let's make first downs. Don't look at the scoreboard. Let's just make first downs and get the crowd out of this thing a little.
Looker in motion. Heward steps up in the pocket over the middle, delivers it to Joe Hooker, and he goes down to the 31-yard line. 15-yard pickup. Joe Hooker last year only touched it 6 times. He scored 3 touchdowns, and he's probably the fastest guy in college football.
The fastest guy, and a guy who's learning to become a better receiver as he goes along. Now, what is he ultimately going to choose? To be an Olympic gold medalist, or at least challenge for that, or be a football player? I think pretty good-looking football player. He's getting better all the time.
Tuiasosopo is in. He's in a slot there on the left side. So 2 quarterbacks, in essence, in the lineup for Washington. First down at the 31. Penalty flags are down. And it looked like Nebraska jumped in the neutral zone. Jason Wiltz may have been the guilty party. He's been battling back from injuries as well, has Wiltz. And normally would be a starter.
Dead ball. Illegal snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down. Center moves the ball over.
Joe Hooker. Well, we know about him. Tremendous speed. 55-meter champion.
Oh, all right. We get to see him run here.
Pac-10 male track athlete of the year, and he can smoke it. 6.13 in the 55 meters. And then Pac-10 titles in the 100 and the 200 as well. And he's won 21 straight sprint races.
And the last time I looked, Pac-10 has some pretty fast guys.
That's right.
In this thing.
So that's the kind of pressure he can put on a defensive back. He goes to the top of your screen.
No one's covering Reggie Davis down the middle, number 5.
Tuiasosopo in motion. They fake the end-around handoff. Now Heward's got a lot of room in front of him, and he throws complete to Hurst at the 34-yard line. Well, a lot of smoke, not much fire on that play.
And that's never good, is it?
No.
Throw up those smoke screens. You got to have some fire with it. And right then, Nebraska, well coached, stayed at home. We're in a zone that time and just let it happen in front of them.
Just got to feel, though, that you'll see that later, and he'll hand off to Tuiasosopo, and he can throw off that end around.
You know, and I got a feeling, as sophisticated as these fans are here, they also are saying the same thing. Watch that pass off the reverse.
Willie Hurst, the freshman, stays in there after that catch at the tailback spot on second down and 13. Looker in motion. Heward, look out from behind, backpedals and throws it away. And a flag goes down. He's going to say that he had a receiver on a possible screen. The referee, I think, is going to argue with it.
I think the referee is correct here. There's no doubt that Brock was trying to throw that ball to save yardage. He made no attempt to complete that ball.
The officials will gather and talk about it, but here's another look.
This is not the pro game. In the pro game, if you're outside of the tackle box, you can do this. This ball was thrown, obviously, to save yardage, and that was the correct call.
Brock may get away with that next year if he chooses not to come back to Washington.
Or he could have got away with it this year had he tried to do it. You got to go to the next step higher. But Jim Lambright can argue all he wants. They're going to stick with this call. That was the correct call. That's the signal, Lambeau, but you're arguing against it.
That's the second time we've seen Jim give that signal, that he's not too crazy about the officiating.
Well, Washington has a drive going. It's just in the wrong direction.
They've driven back to their own 46. It's 3rd and 33. There aren't a lot of them in the playbook for this. 5 wide receivers.
You send Jawarren long, don't you?
I'd say. They're all out there. Jarzinka's in the group as well. They're thinking about a shovel pass. They throw to the middle of the field. Another flag goes down, and a second flag goes down.
They're going to get roughing the passer that time.
Brock Huard was roughed up by BYU last week.
I think it was Julius Jackson, number 50, who came in and hit Huard. They were going to try the shovel pass, and he had to double clutch it because it was covered. Wonder if there's more than one penalty here.
I thought there was.
Discussion.
I thought there was 2 different flags.
Dead ball. False start offense.
Oh, boy.
Disregard the second play.
So
before the snap, there was illegal procedure called. Did not see it. The only thing I can think of is not enough linemen on the line of scrimmage.
I don't think they had 7 guys up there.
Exactly
it looked
right.
like it was pretty thin pickings on the front line, and then he was hoping for the personal foul for roughing the passer, and he said something to the guy that hit him. It's all for naught because that 5-yarder overrode what would have been a roughing the passer penalty.
And it was illegal formation.
Still 3rd down and a mile. 3rd and 38. From the 41. Play action. Huard hit as he throws. He's going deep. He's got a man there just over his fingertips. Laid it out for Gerald Harris, who did everything he could to track down that Brock Huard pass. That would have been huge. As it is, it's time to punt for the Huskies.
Boy, that was one of those, that could have changed the scoreboard if that was thrown a yard less. That's how much Nebraska gambles, because you have to get to this guy before he gets comfortable in the pocket.
Ryan Fleming, who had a good punt his first time out. That's Joe Walker back waiting for it for Nebraska. Walker will have a chance on this one from the 19. He's got a little alley to the outside. To midfield. Stepped out of bounds, I believe. Although they're not going to bring it back. I thought he stepped out at the 50.
He did. He stepped out
and
at
now
the 50.
linesman comes back and makes the call.
You are correct, sir. You're right on this thing.
Well, we're high enough up here to have a pretty good view of it. Pretty good field position coming up, too, for the Cornhuskers. And they're out in front in this game by 14. Let's take a look at this week's Marriott moment. Number 4 Washington, number 9 Nebraska. Do you remember it? Washington down 21-9 in the 3rd quarter. Vino Bryant's touchdown made it 21-16. Still, the Huskies trying to come back. And they continue to put pressure on the quarterback, and they put it back in the hands of their quarterback. Billy Joe Hobart rushed for a touchdown. The Huskies put together a great second half. They won it 36-21, Nebraska's last home loss. And that was 44 games ago. D'Angelo Evans on the carry takes it into Washington territory. A pickup of about 2 to the 48. Mac Tuaea was in on the stop.
Brad, we're talking about the injury situation for Nebraska. Lance Brown is really one of the 2 remaining guys out of this game that Nebraska counts on, but also is a tackle, Jeff Clausen. So what the rotation that Nebraska is using is right guard Ben Gesford plays a series at right guard, left tackle, and now for this series he's moving over to right tackle. So he'll go right guard, left tackle, and then go back and study.
That's right.
You got to go back and study.
You said you know his daddy.
His daddy, you bet. There he is, there's Ben, right, whoops, right there, right there.
We'll watch him on the 2nd down and 8. He's going to be trying to block for Newcomb, who wants to throw back to Evans across field, and D'Angelo just couldn't track that one down. He was trying to backpedal. Might have been looking into the sun just a little bit as well, and it's incomplete.
So when you're playing guard and tackle, there's a lot of different footwork that you have to be aware of. There he is, number 72, Ben Gesford. I knew him when he was 2 months. He's a little bigger.
He's a little bigger.
Boy, that weight program really pays off, you know.
He's a big fella.
He went from 8 pounds to 290 pounds on the squat bench.
Yep.
Where he started.
3rd down and 8. Nebraska has been a 3rd down situation in long before, and Newcomb got him out of it. He's going to try to do that here, but he can't. He's run down from behind and staying with it. A good job by Jeremiah Farms from the backside, and Nebraska will have to give it up.
Bobby Newcomb is wearing a brace on that left knee. That was the problem he had, why he had to miss some football this year. And I think that's really the main concern is, there's a shot of that brace, from this Nebraska staff is, yeah, he's fast, and yeah, he has a great arm, but can he take the punishment? Scott Frost and Tommy Frazier were bigger athletes than Bobby Newcomb.
Torrey Butler had a Long return for a touchdown last week against BYU on a kick. Here on a punt return, he'll have to fair catch near the 17-yard line. So Washington holds defensively for the first time today, but they trail by 14. First down for the Huskies from their own 17. Heward throws on the run. Man, Looker paid for that one. He got double popped at the 20-yard line.
Brad, we saw what the goals were of the Washington staff. Throw the ball under 2.5 seconds. Well, we got a little clock here. Let's see how it's going. Well, that's actually 3 seconds because there's 30 frames per second. So there's 3 seconds. There's 3 seconds again. Uh-oh, this 3 seconds isn't looking good. Every time he throws at 3 seconds, there's a guy right there on him and a helmet in his thing. I think 2.5 is better than 3. They better lower it down. Here's another one, 3.1.
That half second could save you a bruise or two. 2nd and 6. Oh, nailed as he tried to throw there by Julius Jackson.
Brock has to keep his composure now and give some confidence to the rest of the team. Even though he's down a bit because he's not giving time. The last one, that's almost 3 seconds again, and you can see just as he lets it go, he's getting hit, this time by Eric Johnson, the outside linebacker.
Right.
So 2.5 is the better deal.
And right now, as you said, the black shirts, they're just teeing up. They have absolutely no respect for any kind of ground attack by Washington. And obviously there won't be a ground attack here. In the shotgun with an empty backfield with the exception of the left-handed quarterback. 5 wideouts. Heward trying to buy some time. Had a man open and he threw an interception. Picked off by Jason Wiltz, the big defensive tackle. Wiltz down to the 6-yard line.
Yeah, I think he stepped out on the 22. And if only Brock Heward would have known that, because he wouldn't have got a forearm in the chin.
Well, the big fella who just came back this week, and now you've got a quarterback who's been roughed up and intercepted.
Here he is right in here. Jason Wiltz is going to rush up the middle, but when they flush Brock Heward out of the pocket this time with nobody back, he just kind of runs back and says, Coach told me to follow the play. I got blocked, so I'm just going to follow the play here. And all of a sudden, the ball comes right to me. And I told Coach I had good hands.
He had a bad ankle. That's what he had the last 2 weeks. And they gave him 2 to 6 weeks. They said he'll heal. He says, I'll take the 2. Playing today for the first time in a couple of weeks. And he's got a huge interception and a big smile on his face.
He was a part-time starter last year for this team. Was counted on to be an inside starter. The backup depth for Nebraska, 2 freshmen. So you can see the difference.
Makovica, the fullback. He just blasts his way for about 8 yards to the 14. Jeremiah Farms finally brought down number 45, but he's a load, about 5'11", 240-pounder. There have been some good fullbacks in Nebraska lore, and we asked Frank Solich yesterday, how's this guy stack up? He said, I'd put him with Rathman as the best we've had.
Wow, that's high company right there. And you know what's amazing? Against Cal last week, he had 13 attempts. You think the fullback carries the ball all the time for Nebraska? That's a career high, 13 attempts last week.
He had 129 yards against Washington last year. Newcomb pitches Evans to the corner. D'Angelo trying to cut back. Touchdown. His 2nd of the day. First from 60 yards, now from 14 yards.
Wide option this time. Follow it right here. You know what you call it? Truck and trailer. Follow the truck. Give it to the trailer. There's the pitch off of Nigel Burton. Follow that truck. Follow that truck. You're the trailer.
Collision time.
There it is. There's the score. You know, the goods are always in the trailer. The truck carries the trailer. You put all the fruit and everything in the back, and they scored with that. They delivered. That is pretty. There's nothing prettier. As Lester Towns, again, is the guy that was pursuing that across the field, and he's down with that foot.
And still out there at the 11-yard line, has not taken more than a couple of steps, as the trainers are going to have to help him all the way across field. That's a big chunk out of this defense. I have
played with numerous athletes in my career that had a turf toe injury. That is a problem. That doesn't go away quickly. It's something that oftentimes it has to be medicated to play.
Jack Lambert's career ended on a turf toe for crying out loud.
Coming across off Nigel Burton, this time the Rover back. There it is. You got number 45 in front of you. And I don't care how long you've been out, you don't forget how to follow 45. Because you know there's pay dirt behind 45.
So Evans has splashed on the scene here in the first quarter alone with 88 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we still have 3 minutes, almost 3 minutes left in the quarter. Chris Brown, a busy kicker, knocks it through, and it's 21-0 with 2:55 left in the first quarter. Coming up on Sunday night live at 8:15 Eastern, 5:15 on the West Coast on ESPN. It's the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Ravens of Baltimore. 8:15 start time on Sunday night on ESPN. D'Angelo Evans. Boy, talk about making a comeback, huh?
Well, it's nice to get those pitches in space like D'Angelo Evans has got right there. A lot of guys. Buckhalter right now and Danny Alexander, the other tailback, saying, Coach, I'd like to try at that. You know, give me that green grass in front of me and number 45 right there. I'm okay.
The field's the only thing green here, I'll tell you that.
Got it. Everything else is red and white.
76,372 are here today with us. The 223rd straight sellout.
You know, it is a bad omen if you're Washington. You've had 12 plays for 34 yards, and you've had 4 penalties for 40.
High short kick. Jarzinka comes up on it at the 17. Still guts to the sideline. A big shot and a late shot, I believe. Penalty marker down. He was knocked out at the 31-yard line. And there's what the offense has done that Gary was talking about. There's going to be some added on here with penalties here, though, on a late hit on Nebraska.
Well, interesting, Charlie McBride, and he really didn't dance around it when we asked him. Usually coaches don't talk like this. But we said, would you rather see Heward or Tuiasosopo? And he said, Tuiasosopo's tougher for us. We'd feel much more comfortable facing Heward.
They're both in the huddle. There's one, and now he backpedals.
And the reason is, right now, this Washington offensive line cannot stack up.
The personal foul on Jarzinka moves it out to the 46, so a good starting field position again for the Huskies. Their best of the day to start a drive at the 46. Shaw back there behind Brock Heward now in the Washington backfield. A quick drop, the long throw. And Harris couldn't get under this one either. Covered out there by Hyatt Craver. Brock Heward, a tough start today.
Up front is where this game is going to be decided. Which defensive line, which offensive line, which matchup will hold up. So far, that defensive line for Nebraska, especially the outside rushers, have been too much for this Washington offense.
Remember, Washington lost 2 All-American type offensive linemen, Benji Olsen and Olin Kreutz. That doesn't help you. 2nd and 10. Heward's going to flare one out to Hurst, who caught the back end of the ball and spins to midfield, maybe to the 49. We'll give him about 5. Ralph Brown made the tackle. Washington, you talk about losing some key players. They lost a bunch to the National Football League. Here's the guys on offense they lost: Sheehy and Pathan and Coleman, and then Olsen, Kreutz, and Cleland across the front wall, including the tight end Cleland. And they've had to replace him with a lot less experience.
And that's the key right there. I mean, these guys will be good football players, but the experience isn't there yet, especially coming to Lincoln right now. It's a tough spot to learn.
10 players drafted, 8 of them are still in the NFL. 3rd down and 6. Heward's going to take off with it, and he's got a first down and dives forward inside the 40 to the 39. Brock saw a little bit of green in front of him and picked up 11 yards.
This time, I think it was a called play. The first time in the game that Scott Linehan called a play. It was a running play all the time. None of the receivers were even looking for the football. probably wasn't audible at the line of scrimmage that he could go to if they saw a man coverage.
Even if it's just the quarterback, they've got to find a way to get some yardage on the ground to keep Nebraska honest.
I really believe it's going to be tough for Washington to stay in this game if they don't get 100 yards rushing in the game. So far, they're not even close.
Hurst is back in there, the freshman, on a first down at the 40. Quick drop, quick throw. Looker's got it. And he stepped out at the 37-yard line, got about 3. Those things are just like long pitches right now.
Well, and that's exactly what Louisiana Tech did to this Nebraska defense. And everyone, I think all of college football was shocked that day when La Tech and Troy Edwards caught 405 yards of passes, 21 receptions. But, you know, in that game, Louisiana Tech threw 82 times, completed 68. And only gave up 3 sacks.
Charlie McBride says, yeah, we gave Troy Edwards a lot of yards, but if you looked at his stats, and I said, yeah, he's caught 52 balls in 3 games.
Pretty good player.
Everybody's given up some yardage to that youngster. Heward throws low, and Harris scooped it off his shoe tops, but he didn't get a first down. Gerald Harris with the grab, but Julius Jackson, rangy linebacker, brought him down.
It's amazing how many different players Nebraska plays. And if they didn't have numbers on, they'd all look the same. I mean, they all run the same. They all look the same. They just keep coming.
Big third down right here for Washington. And Tuiasosopo's checked in to the huddle along with Brock Huard at the 33. They've got to get some points out of this drive, I would think. They're down by 21. Kind of a power eye with Tuiasosopo now is going to be the motion man out of that backfield. Straight ahead with Conniff, the fullback. He might get it on second effort.
Yes. Probably one of the biggest plays, biggest first downs of the game. The Huskies have to get a first down. You're right here. I think they need points in this game or it's going to get away from them very, very quickly.
And they say first down. So Washington moves it inside the 30-yard line of Nebraska. Big college football doubleheader next week. Penn State and top-ranked Ohio State. Get things going, then stay tuned at 3:30 Eastern. Michigan, Iowa, Washington State, UCLA is where we'll be. Clemson and North Carolina, Colorado and Oklahoma. And at 4 Pacific for our viewers on the West Coast, it'll be Arizona State with the Trojans of USC. Check your local listings for the game in your area or what you might be able to pick up on cable or pay-per-view. 9th play of the drive. Huard, empty backfield, pumps once, flags down, goes long for Harris again, throws it away. And again, a penalty marker at the line of scrimmage. No rhythm at all so far for Washington offensively, and that's kind of one of the problems they had against BYU last week. Admittedly, though they won that game 20-10, they weren't that impressive on offense.
Ball start, offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And you get in those long yardage situations like you were talking about, Gary. That's just something you don't want to get in against Nebraska.
Especially against these guys, because if you hold the ball 3 seconds, as we've already showed you, you're going to get hit. This time it's Vandenbush coming off the corner. He's a backup, true sophomore. And when we talked to Charlie McBride yesterday, he said he's the next Grant Windstrom coming on. He's not even a starter yet.
First down and 15 at the 34. Here they come. Pass for Jarzinka is too far. And Huard nailed again as he let go. Julius Jackson came smoking in, and now Huard slowly rises. And you see number 50 is the guy that hit him. You talk about throwing off your back foot. Brock's going to be throwing off his rear end pretty soon.
And it's a good thing he's good at it. He's one of the few guys that actually does with normal motion is really not to step forward all that much. But in that case, he couldn't. He has to throw that type of ball. 6 for 14 in the game so far, and you can't step into those. It's just too tough. He's already taken a lot of body punches, and it's only the first quarter of this game.
Yeah. 1 second left in the first round. Draw play to Shaw. He's not going to get anything either. It's going to be third down and about 16 to start the second quarter. But the first quarter has belonged to the Cornhuskers on their home field, looking for their 45th straight home win. They lead by 21. ABC Sports presentation of college football returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. A dominating first quarter by Nebraska. D'Angelo Evans with a couple of touchdowns. Bobby Newcomb another. It's 21-0 as we're set for the second quarter, and A 3rd down and 17, and Washington 2 out of 5 on their 3rd down conversions today. And they've been in this long yardage situation. They're almost getting used to it. And a timeout taken by Nebraska before the snap. It looked like Ralph Brown over on the corner was trying to get the officials' attention to get a timeout call, and he did. So the Cornhuskers may have not had the alignment they were looking at. You look over there on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see timeout, timeout, timeout.
And it came from the bench, really.
Yep.
That was right there from the bench. Then that was good ears. Ralph Brown said, "Coach wants a timeout." There must have been something in that alignment that the people upstairs did not like.
This gives us a chance for our Aflac trivia question this week. Gary's been pretty good at these. Here it is. Since 1969, what does every Nebraska football player who's completed 4 years have in common? Think about it. We'll give you some chances here and some time.
Every one of them.
Every one, my friend.
4 years.
That's right. We'll give you the answer a little bit later on.
A red shirt.
I think you get that the first day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of red shirts over there on that sideline. You should see practice at Nebraska, folks.
Unbelievable.
There's about 170 of them running around out here. And of course, everybody that comes to the game is wearing red in some form or fashion on a very, very warm late September day. The wind really hasn't been a problem so far, but boy, it'll blow you away outside this place.
Well, it's never a problem for Nebraska because most of the time they're pitching. And so it's not a big deal. But I think the first quarter, let's say that Washington did not take advantage of it. That's for sure.
See if the Huskies can come up with a 3rd down conversion. 3rd and 17. 4 wideouts for Heward. Nebraska will bring a double extra man. Long throw near side. Harris trying to make the adjustment, and a nice play defensively by Sweeney to break it up.
I think maybe the wind was a factor on that one. And also for a guy who usually throws a tight spiral, one of the things you have to do is throw a tight spiral into the wind, and that one did not spiral well. The footwork also, we talk about Brock's tendency to fall back on throws. This one he kind of fell back away from it and had a wide open receiver and didn't get the ball there.
He's flinching a little bit. There's no doubt about it because the pressure's been on him all day. Now here's an interesting situation. It's 4th down and 17. They're going to go for it at the 36. They have a horrible kicking game. That would have been too long a field goal anyway. So they're going to go on 4th down trailing by 3 touchdowns.
First time Nebraska's been in the zone too.
Rifles it down the middle and completes it for a 1st down near the 10-yard line, and it's his favorite receiver, Dane Looker. Boy, that one spiraled.
Spiraled and finally thrown like a bullet, as you said. Stepped into his throw and got Nebraska spread out in a zone defense, and you can see they do not feel comfortable playing those zone defenses. They want to attack and play man-to-man. That's their style.
So now Washington can actually go to a normal set, bring in a tight end, bring in Conniff, the fullback. They have it just outside the 10-yard line. They can actually get a 1st down inside the 1. It would be so close, though, it would have to almost be the Nebraska end zone. They have a fullback in there, but he's on a wing to the right. That's Conniff. Hurst with a burst, and he's down to the 3. There's the true freshman. Kid just turned 18 years old in March.
Well, he did follow Conniff too that time. He lined up as a wingback and really just went in motion and ran the off-tackle play to that side. And the burst you're talking about is something that this Washington offense will have to work on as this year progresses.
5 of 9 when they've gotten inside the 20. All of them have been touchdowns. It's been 7 quarters since Nebraska's given up a touchdown. So something's got to give here.
Watch the option. Here's Tuiasosopo right here. Handoff an option. Could be there.
Hewer didn't like the look, and he takes a timeout. I think that's probably a good timeout. You don't want to waste a chance when you get this close against the Nebraska defense. Still, the Cornhuskers in front by 21. Washington brings it up to the line of scrimmage just outside the Nebraska 2. First the tailback and a power eye set, and now Tuiasosopo in motion. The option to Hurst, spins and goes down, and it's
Irwin Sweeney and a fumble. Nebraska's got it. Sweeney's made 2 huge plays on this Washington drive, and that one kept them out of the end zone.
It also, even though Washington ran the option, it fooled themselves basically, because Brock Huard did not do a very good job of eliminating the end man on the line of scrimmage himself. Here it is, fake to the fullback. Brock comes down, but as he pitches, the man he pitches to actually comes out and makes the hit at the end of the line of scrimmage. Sweeney ends up with the football and a huge turnover in this game.
Washington was not known as a fumbling team. And now the fullback, Makovica, straight ahead.
Well, in fact, Washington has only fumbled 5 times in the last 12 games.
And here's the 6th in the last 13 games. Hurst, the freshman, has it stripped out of there. You talk about a great play. Sweeney's the guy that stripped it, and then he scrambled and does a bear crawl to get out there and cover it.
But the option was poor, and the reason is that Nebraska did not respect the fact that Brock Huard would run the ball. So they forced him to pitch. They knew the pitch was going out there, and they just pursued to it.
2nd and 6. Makovica again. And the fullback likes his way out near the 20, close to a first down. Hakeem Akbar and Johnson back there to make the stop. Injuries on Washington's defense. Lester Towns, who Gary talked about having some injury problems coming in, a twisted right ankle earlier, and they're going to evaluate him at halftime. And for Nebraska, on their defense, Eric Johnson has a bruised right knee. They'll evaluate him further in the locker room. We're going to evaluate whether or not this is a first down. They bring the sticks out. There's Sweeney, who made the big play. And first down, Cornhuskers. Riding a 17-game winning streak, the longest in Division 1A.
How would you like to be averaging 260 yards rushing per game, and everybody's down about your running attack?
Yeah, it's the lowest since 76.
You got it. Because last year they averaged 392.
Here's the option. Newcomb keeps it. Great move. Got across the 30. He's got another first down. Bobby Newcomb, 11 yards.
You know, Brad, you called that the option, and that's exactly what Nebraska wants the linebackers in the secondary to think. But really, this was a keeper. It's almost a quarterback isolation. He's going to follow Makovica right here all the way. Just stay with your fullback. All this out here, the option part of it was all window dressing that time.
You're right. There was no option to it. That's a good guy to follow, too, right there. We've seen that from both the quarterback and D'Angelo Evans.
Right, and how about Randy Hart told us he has not stopped the quarterback ISO since they've been playing Nebraska. That's what they got right there.
First down, little collision there, play fake and a long ball. Wiggins got it. Even with miscommunication in the backfield, that's what can happen when you get so used to the running game in Nebraska. They go deep.
Well, Washington committed 9 people to the run that time, and you think Tom Osborne was calling the plays because Frank Solich guessed exactly right, saying now's the time. And you're right, there's a collision, there's a fake of the option, a stumble, Wiggins is wide open, an underthrow, all those things went wrong. And what they do, gain 40 yards on the play?
42,
yeah, that's right. 9 things went wrong, they only got 42 yards.
And a first down. The Washington 27. Now again the quarterback will pitch to Evans, and it goes out of bounds.
We set up Ben Gassford early in this game, started off at right guard, and then he's been all over the offensive line. Right guard, now he's at left tackle doing the reach block. Now he goes to right tackle, he's pass blocking. It's a nice afternoon for the guy, isn't he? Now they take him out of the game and they score. He's got to get back in the game. Coach, put me back in. We scored without me.
There's Big Ben.
His daddy's attorney here in Lincoln. I played with him for the Chicago. Go ahead. Finish that sentence.
Oh, boy. I don't know. Fire?
No.
You played with the New York Titans, didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't know you played with Chicago something.
Chicago Wind.
The Wind, that was it.
That was before the Blitz.
And you're still full of wind.
Before the Blitz and after the fire.
Newcomb. Well, he fires down to the 20, and almost a late hit on Newcomb as he landed at the 19-yard line. He picked up 8 yards. Bobby Newcomb showing his running prowess again. Talking about professional football. How about Monday nights? 8 o'clock Eastern, our new time. Don't miss it. Tampa Bay will try to tackle Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions. That's our matchup on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Here's all 11 guys right here. Nobody flanks.
Here's the pitch. D'Angelo Evans. Can he get another one? Stiff arm. Crosses over. Touchdown. $19 yards this time.
What a machine, huh?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's like going against the German army in the blitzkrieg right here. These guys are good. They don't even flank anybody out this time. What you want to notice as they run this play after the pitch, watch the guys downfield. James Sherman, number 63, and Ben Gaspard, the left tackle, are going to score before Evans does. They were in the end zone before the tailback was.
Chris Brown, 4 extra points. 99 straight extra points. And D'Angelo Evans, is he ever back, huh? 3 touchdowns here in the first half. Well, D'Angelo Evans, this time 19 yards away to get his 3rd touchdown.
This is James Sherman right here, the right guard. He's going to score with a great block right there at the end of the play. There's Gaspard, number 72, and just outside of the picture is Tracy Winstrom, the tight end, is also going to finish in front of D'Angelo Evans. How about that? 3 linemen into the end zone before your tailback. That's hustle from that offensive line.
D'Angelo Evans looked like they're retaping his right ankle. They may not need him anymore today.
Either that or putting their shoes in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
One of the two.
Chris Brown set to kick away. Jarzinka backpedals. He's 8 yards deep and will not bring it out. So Washington will start again from the 20-yard line. Well, earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question. Since '69, what does every Nebraska football player who's completed 4 years have in common? You got a guess?
I have bowl games.
At least 1 conference championship ring, and they made it to
4 bowl
games.
trips. That's not bad.
It's not bad. 39 straight bowl games for Nebraska. You know, the only thing they haven't put together here yet is the stadium. They're working on it, though. We had to bring our hard hats up here. They just gave me one with a big cross on the top.
I'll tell you,
of it.
Brock is wearing his hard hat out there right now, too.
There you see the renovations around Memorial Stadium. It is going to be, it's already a fabulous place to watch a football game. It's going to be incredible when they get it done. They're on a 5-year plan that's going to make this thing a whole city in itself almost. Heward goes back to throw and finds Looker, and Looker broke a couple tackles and out to the 36-yard line. A pickup of 16. And Ralph Brown is down after the play.
Brad, you know, look at the expansion room they have here for another press box on the other side. Those lights are way up there. I mean, they got plenty of room for expansion. They could build all kind of things right in here and then kind of go like 3 levels right here.
Danielson, the architect.
I can put in about another $12 million deal right there.
Well, we talked to Bill Byrne, their AD, yesterday quite a bit about what they're doing around here, and a lot of it includes moving the baseball diamond. They're going to have an indoor facility that will have a couple of indoor practice facilities and a soccer field, and we're way up here, and it's going to be a lot nicer press box when we get done. That's me right there.
We're going to go higher. There's the seats, right? That's where we're going to be.
Yeah, that's where we'll be in 5 years.
Yep. I got a feeling they're going to put us up there next year.
5 wideouts. Heward over the middle, and a good throw, complete to the 45-yard line of Gerald Harris. Picked up 9 yards.
I think both sides thought that the story of this game would be how much inside pressure could Nebraska get when Washington was attempting to pass. But so far, the story has been the 2 rush ends. Actually, 3 of them. Kelsey, Rucker, and Vandenbush, Bosch, all 3 of them have been coming around the corner and putting the pressure on.
You've been watching Vandenbosch, and you said, man, this guy's good.
He is a player. You bet he is. True sophomore that they said is going to be the next Grant Winstrom.
From the 45, 2nd down a yard. Heward, quick drop, quick throw, and a dangerous one. It's incomplete. It was intended for Jawarren Hooker. And now they find themselves with a 3rd down and short situation. Let's see if they bring in Conniff, the fullback, and bring in some meat on the front wall. They will. The extra tight end comes in. I guess the good news is an offense like this can be a good group to catch up with. Well, they're going to have all the opportunity in the world. And there is a Wistrom on this team. That's Tracy.
Tracy, the tight end who was in the last series.
He has a touchdown catch to his credit this year.
60-some yard touchdown pass.
Third and short. Kind of straight ahead. I don't know. Maybe got it with forward progress. I don't know. That's Eric Johnson coming out of the pile with the football.
I think Jay Foreman is the guy who made the initial hit, the middle linebacker. And the Nebraska linebackers, I think that has the big change in this Nebraska team when they really made the commitment to speed here. Brad, if you look at their linebackers across the board, Foreman, Shaw, and Johnson, they were high school running backs, all three of them.
Yep.
Both, and two of them played defensive back in high school, so they recruited them as running backs and defensive backs and moved them to linebacker. They can run.
Foreman is the son of Chuck Foreman, the great running back, first in Miami in college and then the National Football League with the Minnesota Vikings. And if you think that's a father-son thing, how about this? He played high school football in Eden Prairie, Minnesota for Mike Grant. You know who his dad was?
Wow, I get the connection.
Bud Grant. Good football player. He's on the Butkus watch list. Heward, plenty of time for the first time all day, but can't find anybody open. And he's going to go down as Kelsey buries him back at the 35-yard line.
Plenty of time, and I think this is one of actually the second mental mistake that Brock Heward made in this football game. The other was that interception when he threw the ball into a crowd, but this time on first down, you have to smell out your time. Good coverage, throw it away. You've got to avoid the second and long, 2nd and 17. Just too tough for this offense to pick up.
16 straight games with at least one sack. They have more sacks this year than they had at this time last season when they had Jason Peter and Grant Wistrom and those guys in there. So they get after you. They're coming after Heward again. Look out. Collision time this time comes from Mike Rucker. And Brock Heward again gets some help from one of his linemen to pick him off the turf.
Brock Heward is earning his scholarship, his books and tuition today.
Oh, I think he's got a meal or two in here, too. He's having his lunch pail handed to him.
Coming inside this time, it was Steve Warren and also Rucker from the outside. And I tell you, there's just doesn't seem to be any rhythm in the passing game at all.
0 for 4 in his third down conversion passing, and he's got 3rd and a mile here. 3rd and 17.
Fourth time they've had 3rd and 17 plus in this game.
They picked one of them up earlier. Going to throw a screen or try to, and Nebraska's all over that too. Kari Reynolds smelled it out, and there's another loss on the play at 6 yards. This is a fired up defense.
Yeah. They smell blood right now. They do not respect the running game. Washington and Scott Linehan tries to go with a screen, and there's that number 83. Vanden Bosch is in there again. And I'll tell you, right now, everyone smells blood around this Lincoln Stadium because no running game equals a lot of sacks.
Fleming will have to punt. Walker and Wiggins are both back deep. Waiting on it. It's a tough catch. They're going to call penalty on Washington for not giving him a couple of yards to make the catch, even though he made it. And that will go, no doubt, against the Huskies. And now some shoving and pushing after the play. I think it was Renard Edwards who got down there and was too quick.
Yes, it was. Well, good news for the Washington offense. They punted the ball. Bad news is here comes that red offense out.
The machine.
The machine enters the field. I don't know if they've got even through their offensive game plan one time yet.
Brock Heward trying to get the kinks out of his neck. It's hit the field enough times today, we'll tell you that much. Now the folks in Lincoln I'm sure don't think anything could taste better than a 28-0 lead. Brock Heward has been hit mercilessly today.
That'll give you the old kink in the neck, won't it?
It has been a crushing of Heward so far today. And the Nebraska offense, as Gary said, the bad news for Washington, they're back on the field. Audible by Bobby Newcomb. Ahead he goes to to the other fullback, Willie Miller, and he blasts out for about 9 yards. We'll blast out to New York and John Saunders. John.
Grab the Burger King update. USC against Florida State. These teams having a tough time getting their offense going. It's extremely wet at the game, but Jeff Chaney takes this one and dances into the end zone. He was across before the fumble. Florida State now leading 10-3. Brad.
Here it's 28-0. Number 2 Nebraska leading the Washington Huskies, who came in unbeaten at 2-0. Second down, a short yard, and Miller carries the Washington defense with him into their end of the field. Picked up almost 5.
What's so tough, like a good passing offense or any type of offense in really any sport, if you spread the ball around to different people and you have game breakers, look what you can do. The quarterback's carrying the ball, the fullback has been effective, and of course here's the recipient of all the good things right here, D'Angelo. When you run the fullback, you run the quarterback, all of a sudden that pitch becomes big, huge plays.
You saw Evans being retaped on the sideline. He won't be in this series with that foot problem, but Terrell Buckhalter is in there now as the tailback. Newcomb on the keeper. Bobby Newcomb holding on for dear life and maybe saving a touchdown was Brendan Jones, the free safety, or he would have been gone.
I don't know if you can watch this replay again. The explosiveness of this play right here, it almost takes your breath away. Comes down the line of scrimmage right here. Now watch when he sees it. He just goes. I mean, this is a guy that played at the flanker, the wingback spot a year ago because they had to get him on the field. And when he sees it, it is an explosion through that hole. What a wonderful athlete. And as Frank Solich told us, Brad, a technician on the option.
That's right. And he showed some of that 4-4 when he's healthy. And now it's Buckhalter. Bontour in on the tackle. Buckhalter's been the guy that's carried the load. We got a penalty marker down in the secondary. He's carried the load this year with D'Angelo Evans out, and he's done a remarkable job. Came in with over 300 yards on the ground. Coming up next on the West Coast only, our college football regional doubleheader continues. A battle in the Pac-10. Washington State unbeaten, taking on Cal. Don't forget, check your local listings for the game in your area. Call your cable or satellite company for games available on pay-per-view.
Washington State has one of those teams that always seems to find a way to throw the ball. Now they're like Purdue in that, or Purdue's like Washington State. They have a system. They know how to make it work against anyone.
They lose a leaf, and they still can throw it around. Washington already 9 penalties in this half. That's a season high already. Here's Miller, the fullback, down to the 4. Boy, you take out Makovica and you bring in a guy that weighs 230. And is just as effective.
Just as effective. You know, give credit to that offensive line, but the way they put it all together, hand the ball off to the fullback, and afterwards Bobby Newcomb just keeps going down the line of scrimmage, fakes his option, just established the fullback. And as Randy Hart told us going into this game, we kind of got to bend somewhere. We have to depend on our middle linebacker defensive tackles to stop the fullback. We got to play the outside game. It hasn't happened either way.
Second down and 2. Buckhalter airborne. Touchdown. You take one eye back out, you put the other one in. And he scores to make it 34-0.
Terrell Buckhalter here just takes his hand off and is almost like Superman into the end zone, lays out and lands in pay dirt. Josh Smith got his hand on him, but it didn't even slow him down. The offensive line blows off. Everybody's thinking option. Everybody's playing outside shoulder, and they just run it right up the gut.
Chris Brown hits his 100th straight extra points on the kick. D'Angelo Evans has scored 3, and now Buckhalter's in the act from 3 yards out. It is 35-0 Nebraska.
Brad, what offense, as you look at how good this Nebraska team is following them by, they're good following everything.
That's right.
But what kind of offense would you like to face? Would you like to face the precision of UCLA or just the dynamic power of this Nebraska team when both are working?
They're different, but they're both scary, that's for sure.
One changes the scoreboard, the other puts welts on your back, you know?
That's for sure. This is the one with the welts.
This is the welt offense.
Here's what Nebraska has coming up. Oklahoma State at College Station. Kansas, Missouri that they went into overtime with last year. Texas, Iowa State, Kansas State, a team right now ranked in the top 5, and then Colorado on the 27th.
How would you like to watch this game right here, Kansas State? Remember we were there last week and had the countdown already.
They did. They had the number of days to that November 14th battle. Well, this Nebraska team looks every bit as tough as that Kansas State team we saw last week.
Yeah, there's no rebuilding here. This is, you know, Texas has a dip. Michigan had those 8-4 seasons. USC went down a bit. Alabama has gone through a couple problems. But in Nebraska, they just keep doing it over and over again. There is no let up. And one of the things I think attributable to that is the continuity that's off this staff here. I mean, they run the same plays that they've always run.
The vogue of college football has brought it back a little bit to the option game. Jarzinka out to the 34-yard line. And somebody lost a hat in the pileup. Well, we talked about Tom Osborne Field. He's still around. The head coach, 25 years, 255 wins, 3 national championships, and now he's a teacher. This is coaching football. I don't know if it's 101 or 303 or...
Hey, there's Lee Corso right there and John Saunders sitting together in that class. You see those two guys?
Yeah, I did.
They were copying. They were cheating off the guy in front of them, too. I saw
back in '64, Frank Solich was in an educational psychology class that Tom Osborne was the teacher of. Of course, Frank Solich played for Bob Devaney here in the 60s. Heward throwing it out to Harrison, complete.
Well, what's happened now with this pass offense is the mental clock, the little ticker inside your head. If you're a quarterback says, I don't have as much time as I want, so I'm going to throw the ball a little earlier than I want. He's picking out a spot. This time it was Aaron Willis, number 81, who came off the corner. And when you're trying to throw to a spot maybe a half second before you should, that's very low percentage.
Yep.
And this is a Washington offensive line that only threw but 1 sack going into this game.
This one dead on a 2nd and 10. Just under 5 minutes left in the half. If you're just joining us, 35-0. Nebraska out in front. And the penalty situation doesn't help the cause because it's put them in so many long yardage situations, and now they have 10 penalties already in this half, 6 on the offense. That's a high for a single game this season. Though this is just their 3rd game of the year, you can't make mistakes against a team this good.
Well, Jim Lambright knew that this was the scary year for the probation. Everybody thought it was when they initially went on probation, but this was the year. There's only 7 fifth-year seniors on this football team, and those are the last class was the big class. They graduated 10 NFL players off this team, and right now there's not a lot of depth on this team.
2nd and 15. Heward lost one out. Just overshot Harris again. He's been about a yard too far in front of Gerald Harris all day long. Erwin Sweeney had pretty good coverage again.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, though. He keeps going to Harris and not to Jawan Hooker. I mean, they're rolling the ball up in the air. He's not keeping it in the field right now, even on his fade passes, and he hasn't gone deep to Jawan Hooker at all in this game.
Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator, said everybody's been wondering where are your wide receivers. He said, for one thing, I had one, Hooker, who was a track guy until a couple weeks before the season. Harris was coming off a missed year with injury, and Dane Looker right there was brand new to the whole system. So it's taken them a while. They're all trying to get on the same page right now. There's the long ball, and there's the completion. Well, you called that one, but it's Andre Desaussure, not Hooker.
Yep, that was Andre Desaussure, and that was a beautiful catch that time. Right over Craver, the true freshman, got bump and run to the outside and finally kept the ball in the field to make a catch.
Desaussure's a big target, 6'2". He caught 14 passes as a freshman and then kind of disappeared from this offense.
Put the ball up in the air, throwing against the wind. Of course, throwing the ball in Seattle in that stadium over there, that you learn to throw the ball in the wind, so it's no big deal for Brock.
So first down at the 42.
Uh-oh, first team's back in for Nebraska.
Heward in the shotgun. To Looker. Nice move on the first man. Crosses field. He's got a first down at the 30-yard line. Joe Walker made the tackle. Hooker's got some good moves. Even his teammates say he'll put some moves on you when he's running his pattern that will just stop you in your tracks. And Reynolds limping in his tracks right now as he heads to the sideline.
Well, you said it. I mean, not only does he have good moves, I mean, he's a 4-5 guy. I mean, that's fast enough to play at college football. Plenty fast enough. And is very aware, being able to read the pattern, almost like when he's got the basketball, weaving and bobbing and weaving and catching the ball. He says he's got great hands.
Hands it to the Washington offense at the 30. Here he is on the slants. He's got it to the 22-yard line. And so now away from Harris and on to Looker for Brock Heward. The high school teammates. Guys go way back to junior high.
Inside slant this time against the zone defense. Even though it looked like man on that replay, that was really a deep zone that time, and Mike Brown was just reading Brock's eyes and coming up and making the hit. What's been the problem is there's not been a lot of those gimme throws in this game, and that's why there's been pressure on them all game.
Second down and 2. Looker in a slot to the top of your screen. Looked like Nebraska jumped in the neutral zone. Flags are down. The pass complete out to the tight end, Reggie Davis. That's going to be good enough for a first down, whether it's by penalty or by pass, unless for some reason it's against Washington.
Stopped on the play. Number 16, Erwin Sweeney. Penalty flag on the play.
Offside on Nebraska.
And you gotta figure that Reggie Davis made such a nice catch there and got hit as he caught it. You might as well take the completion.
They gain about 3 extra yards, though, if they take the penalty, I think.
Oh, right in the stomach. Sorry, Reggie. We're going to take the 5-yard penalty. We're not going to give you the completion on that.
They did take the play. You're right.
You might not, right?
Give a little confidence to your tight end, I guess. It helps your quarterback get to 50%. They're not worried about stats right now. They definitely need some points before halftime.
They're worried about survival.
And it looks like it's going to be first and goal there, and that shakes up Gerald Harris, who held on to that ball.
Yeah, and that was Clint Finley that time. Really the beginning, the guy they counted on to be the free safety that was in on that hit. Finally healthy, finally getting in there. Still not 100%, but it'd be hard to convince Gerald Harris that it's not 100%. Here the ball comes in. Kick comes in right there from the other side by Finley, and oh, man.
They call them floating ribs for a reason. They might be floating around inside Gerald right now.
Yeah, that's right. They're up by his throat right now.
So the trainer's out to look at Gerald Harris, a sophomore to Kent, Washington, who, as I mentioned, was one of the guys that was injured and has had to fight his way back just to be out on this field. Had knee surgery last year. Came in with 8 catches. He's added to that total today. They've thrown a lot of balls in his direction, but none that got him up in the air and got him hammered, and he is pointing at the right side where the hit obviously happened. Next Saturday, don't forget, college football doubleheader. Penn State against the top-ranked Buckeyes of Ohio State. Then at 3:30, Michigan, Iowa, Washington State against UCLA. That could be a battle of unbeatens if Washington State wins today. Clemson, North Carolina, Colorado, and Oklahoma. And then at 4 o'clock Pacific, for our West Coast viewers only, it's Arizona State and 17th ranked USC. Don't forget, check the local listings for the game in your area, or what your satellite company or cable company may be able to make available on pay-per-view. Gerald Harris comes out, and he's feeling the effects without a doubt of that sandwich job in the Nebraska secondary.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're a receiver and you're running a slant pass, you're going to get hit like that occasionally. That's the defensive kind of little message they give you. You can catch them, but we're going to be here to tag you with it. And it's one of those ones you get hit right in the wrong spot.
Brock Heward 5 out of 7, Gary, on this
Davis
drive.
right here, one-on-one to the corner. A nice corner route to him. They have him wide open.
Looker in motion. See if he looks to Looker. He's not going to have time to look to anybody. Eric Johnson on the blitz, gets the sack. Boy, that guy's
Johnson
fast.
is a linebacker wearing number 27, is going to come right off the corner right here, and no one picks him up. Coming right off. It's a zone blitz. I'm sorry, he was right lined up in the middle that time. No one picks him up. That has to be his get on the offensive line. That's a complete bust. That's not a hot receiver. And boy, you got to wonder when a guy comes right up the pipe like that, where the blocking assignments are.
2nd and goal now, backed up at the 12-yard line. Heward goes complete to Jarzinka, and Little Joe tackled by the aforementioned Eric Johnson. So Johnson first as a blitzer, then in coverage on the little receiver, and he makes the tackle at the 6-yard line. Eric Johnson, we're talking to Charlie McBride. He says, wait till you see this guy, this guy, fellas. He is a rocket ship. That's what he called him.
He's a rocket ship, but he's basically a nickel-back type player. He only, 210 pounds or something like that. 3rd fastest time on the team. He's a 4.43 40 guy. He's a glorified kind of a 5th back out there. But he comes.
3rd down and goal. 10th play of the drive from the 6.
Again.
The throw's complete to Jarzinka. Can he get there? Yes. Touchdown, Washington. Brock Heward nailed again by Eric Johnson, but a 6-yard touchdown pass to the littlest Husky on the field.
Same look. Jarzinka comes across the middle of the field this time. There you see the 3 receivers of that side. They're going to clear out, and coming across the field is Jarzinka. Right there, clear with the 3 guys, bring the other guy across.
35-6. Extra points have been an adventure this year for Washington. They had 1 missed, 1 block last week, and a field goal blocked as well. Skursky has this one up and good. So Washington got down deep one time and had a fumble ball. This time they go to the end zone and score to make it 35-7 as we check in with John Saunders in New York. Fellas?
Coming up on Valvoline Halftime 98, all the day's scores and highlights, including that matchup in Tallahassee between Florida State and USC.
Yeah, both teams playing a little bit close to the vest. Defense is playing very well. I still think the weather could be a factor in the second half.
All right, it's all coming up on Valvoline Halftime 98.
All right, guys, nothing close to the vest here unless you're talking about a flak jacket. That's the way they've been putting the hits on Brock Heward today.
Hope he has a spare one at halftime to put on, because that one's used up.
Jarzinka with the offense and next to Heward, who just threw him the touchdown pass on the crossing pattern. Joe used to have that long hair almost down the middle of his back. He cut it all off in the off season. We were teasing him about it yesterday at the walkthrough.
Didn't lose any of that strength, though.
Nope.
Right now, everyone in this team, and I think Brock Heward has to show the leadership, and I think he is that, we still got a long season. No one expected us to win the national championship this year. We're going to survive it. I'm not going to step back. I'm going to face that blitz all day, and I'm going to keep on throwing, and we're going to see in film who was not willing to step up. And I think that's what this whole team is going to look at as we progress into the second half.
Kick is high and short. See if somebody calls a fair catch, and it's going to go out of bounds.
We're going to have 2 receptions.
Yes, I guess so. So that'll be Nebraska's ball at the 35-yard line. That's the first touchdown allowed in 8 quarters by this Nebraska defense. When they beat Cal a couple of weeks ago, they only won 24-3, and everybody said it's the lowest point total they put up in a victory since 1976, but also they only gave California 3 points. So
that's right.
When you do that, you don't have to score a lot.
Well, again, there was some concern about the offense. They rushed for over 200 yards in the first half against Cal, but they only scored 2 TDs.
Right.
This is more of the norm when you're watching Nebraska football. Not only do they put 200 or 300 yards up in a half occasionally, but they do it with 4 or 5 touchdowns, and that's what they've done in this game.
It was a scoring drive for Washington, 65 yards in 10 plays, a little over 4 minutes to put it in the end zone. D'Angelo Evans back in there on the pitch. He's got 3 scores already today and over 100 yards rushing, and you can add about 9 more onto that carry. 116 on 8 totes of the football in the first half alone for D'Angelo Evans. And here's what the first half possessions have netted Nebraska.
Right, and this one right here, this was just for practice. They needed to practice that punting game. You start out with that type of drives, put those types of points on the board, and they really aren't even throwing them all that much. They're just doing it with their patented offense that they do against everyone.
Newcomb, kind of a dangerous pass, but he zipped it in there to Wiggins.
He has a real live arm. We watched him throw. I mean, he was 9 for 10 in his first game that he played, but he does it with his feet, basically. He is a nightmare for most coaches.
In the shotgun with a first down. Newcomb just takes off on his own, weaves through traffic to the 42-yard line. Got 6 on the carry. Von Tour and Hairston in on the stop. And we got a timeout on the field with 28 seconds. They're going to try to get at least close enough to give Chris Brown a shot at a field goal.
What's really, most people do not have the luxury that we do. It's actually a thrill to watch Nebraska practice. They put more people through more drills faster than any team I've ever seen. And that's the tempo. More coaches come to visit Nebraska wanting to understand the tempo of Nebraska's practices than their actual plays.
Well, the walk-on program here in Nebraska is phenomenal, and with that, the numbers tend to swell in the area of maybe 165 players. I talked to Barry Alvarez, who was a teammate at Nebraska under Bob Devaney with Frank Solich, and I talked to him yesterday. He says, Solich is going to be calling me here shortly. He said, how was practice? I said, I've never seen so many guys on one field, and Barry started laughing and said, what do you have, about 200? We shared a good laugh because he was pretty close.
But not only do they have a lot of players, but they're organized and they use them.
Right.
You know, they'll run 3 plays of their offense, their script offense, in less than a minute. I mean, they are really moving, and people are getting reps, and they know where to go, and people are jumping around. There's no standing around in Nebraska practice.
Most coaches don't have the luxury, though, of saying #3 punt team. There just aren't that many guys usually. 2nd down and 5. Newcomb on the shovel pass to Evans, and D'Angelo's got a 1st down at the 33-yard line. A pickup of 10. Safe play. If he drops it, it's just an incompletion. If he gets a hold of it, as he did, it's a pretty good gainer. Now they go.
Still 24
they're moving
seconds.
the sticks, so the clock still stopped. Nebraska has 1 timeout remaining. And now they down it to stop the clock, talk it over.
People are always surprised when they watch college football that think that Nebraska is one-dimensional. Well, just because you don't throw a lot means it doesn't mean you're one-dimensional. I mean, this is a team that just does a lot of different things, just like the shovel pass, the load options, the traps. They do multiple of things. It's really fun to watch.
One of the things also that defensive coaches will say is, with Tom Osborne and now with Frank Solich, you will never see the same play 2 times in a row. Even if the fullback gets 6 yards on a carry, you might never see him on a 2nd.
And absolutely no tendencies.
Right, that's what we're talking about. Newcomb takes off. He has a tendency to do that. Got it inside the 30.
They're going to need a timeout here.
Yeah, they got 1 left, and they'll have to burn it to try to get the field goal unit out there. And while we've got a quick timeout, let's check in with some other shows upcoming on ABC. 35-7. I don't know if it's been Fantasy Island today for the Nebraska fans. I don't know if this is a fantasy come true, Gary, but it's been pretty good.
Team, I'll tell you that.
I'm telling you.
And this is a team. We saw Kansas State last week. We thought they deserved their ranking. We saw UCLA. We thought they did. This team definitely is a top 5 team. You know, there's no reloading this year. This is a complete team. They don't beat themselves at all. They know what they're doing. If you're going to beat Nebraska, you're going to have to do it. You can't depend on Nebraska to beat themselves.
They'll have to throw this one now to get the clock stopped again to give their field goal unit a chance. So it might be to the end zone. Down the middle. I don't know if they'll have time. Now they got a 1st down.
There's a 1st down, and there's a flag on the play also. No matter what, if it's 1st down, they should be able to throw the ball down and stop it with 8 seconds to go.
And illegal block below the waist. Is that what's going to go against Nebraska? And that would back them up. A chop block, maybe. We'll get the call.
Chop block. Spot foul. 15 yards. Down remains 3rd.
You'll see a chop block here, and this is what they don't want to have happen. It was D'Angelo Evans that time. Boy, that's pretty weak, I thought.
That looked like a pretty good block to me.
That's exactly right. He wasn't engaged. The block is happening right there at the end line on the scrimmage, and I didn't see that at all.
So now it backs it up to the 44-yard line, and obviously changes the complexion of what Nebraska will want to do. They're going to bring out their extra wide receivers and probably try to go to the end zone here with Newcomb's arm. They're going to have to hustle, and now whistles say that the first half's expired.
Someone's head will roll. Around Nebraska, a 2-minute drive that wasn't taken advantage of, only 35 points.
It's about the only thing that hasn't gone right for them. At halftime, the Nebraska Cornhuskers looking all of #2 in the country, leading Washington 35-7. First half dominance by Nebraska. D'Angelo Evans made a comeback. Brock Huard has been picking himself up off the turf every time D'Angelo Evans finds himself in the end zone, it seems. 3 times in that first half, and Brock Huard has been hit nearly every time he's let go of the football. That's how the first half has gone, with Nebraska in front 35-7, and certainly looking like the #2 team in the country without a doubt. And if you're Washington, what you can't do is make mistakes. And Gary, they've made a ton of them in the first half. 10 penalties, a season high, and also they had 2 turnovers in the course of the first half, 1 in the red zone, and it led to 14 points for Nebraska.
Yeah, they almost had a chance to get back in the game when they were down there that one time, turned the ball over on that option play. But it has been a failure not only in breakdowns mentally, but they physically have not stacked up and blocked anybody well enough to be in the game.
You and I talked at halftime and said, you know, we'd heard that Nebraska's defense was fast and that their quarterback was fast. They're faster than advertised, I think.
Faster than advertised, more disciplined than advertised. Their precision is great to watch. You know, if you look at a quarterback comparison, you really don't know what to look at. You look at just yards, pitches, deception. I mean, the Nebraska quarterback does so many things, but right now Brock Huard has been not picking himself up off the turf way too many times more than he thought.
Chris Brown, who was a busy kicker in the first half with 5 extra points, set to kick off again. Teray Butler and Joe Jarzinka are back deep, and I don't think either one of them is going to have a shot at this one as it goes out of the end zone.
That was good.
And the fans are loving it as we start the 3rd quarter. We welcome you back, Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. You talked about quarterback comparisons. Really, there has been none today. Brock Huard has done his best, but Bobby Newcomb's getting the better of it.
Yeah, as the pass rush from the outside has been too much for Brock Huard to handle right now, or for the Washington team to handle. But Bobby Newcomb has been all over the field, not only just throwing the ball, but distributing the football to different people. He's been effective throwing, but when he moves the ball around, when they rush the ball, Nebraska has 3 different people touching it, and you really never know who.
Brock Huard will start things off from the 20-yard line for the Huskies to start the second half, finding himself buried in a 28-point hole, and he, with a quick drop, sets and fumbles. Scooped up by Nebraska. You can't make mistakes. There's another one. It comes on the first snap of the 3rd quarter offensively, and Warren is all over it on defense. That's just what we said. You can't play a team this good and make mistakes, and just like that, Brock Huard drops back in the pocket where he's felt pressure all day. Boom, there goes the fumble.
Again, a little bit of a push, no one to throw off of timing, and then Brock got a little sloppy with the ball in the pocket, had it tapped away, and now a turnover. You can't give him the ball. And as you say, when Nebraska moves the ball around, 29 rushes in the first half, and they've moved into different guys, and they've been hugely successful. 260.
Right back into the red zone. They are with that fumble recovery and down to the 13-yard line.
Look at the breakdown of how this ball has been evenly distributed between the quarterback, the fullback, and the I-back. All of them successful. The I-back, D'Angelo Evans, has been the beneficiary of a quarterback and fullback to set him up for 4 touchdowns.
There he is, number 4. The I-back on a 2nd down and 5. First man through. Macavicka, he lost the ball. Let's see who covered that. Washington says they have it. The officials have given no signal yet. Macavicka lost the handle on that football right at the end of the play. Brendan Jones is there pointing in Washington's direction. I think Jermaine Smith is back there from the secondary, and still no indication from the bottom of the pile. There's going to be one more body unwrapped there before they give us an indication, I guess. And it is Washington ball. Anthony Von Tour with the turnover, so Washington gets it right back as we look at our Morgan Stanley Dean Witter first half statistics. As Gary talked about, 261 rushing yards. That's a yard more than they had averaged per game coming into this one. 328 total. The penalty situation awful in Washington's side there, and the turnovers as well has made this all Nebraska. But they get the ball back to the Huskies. Macavicka, a rare fumble for him. Huard under center from just inside the 12-yard line. The toss to Hurst. They didn't try to run much in the first half. That might be part of the reason. Dropped for a yard loss. Lauren Kaiser was the first guy to get there. Nebraska came in allowing 48 yards rushing per game to the opposition. That was number 1 in the country.
Boy, that's a surprise, huh?
Yep. They've been in the top 5 against the rush the past 4 years. They've never been number 1 over the entire course of a season, but they will swarm after you. There's The guys that have done it on defense so far today, led by Eric Johnson, number 27, who seems to be all over the field. Second down, 11. Heward looked like he had time, hit as he tried to throw. Rucker nailed him. The ball is loose, and it is Nebraska football. What a disastrous start to the third quarter for Brock Heward in Washington.
Mike Rucker is the sack leader of this team. He is the guy that's lining up number 84 in Grant Wistrom's spot from a year ago, and he is the guy that made the play. You know, he doesn't play a lot of plays. He's had foot problems for his team, but today he looks as healthy as he's been.
He says, it's my senior season. I got to get out there and get busy. He has been busy today. Kerry Reynolds is the guy that recovered the fumble, and Nebraska's got it right back. First and goal at the Washington 5-yard line. The power eye, D'Angelo Evans skips down inside the 2.
All great runners are able to skip through the hole, just like you said. They use two-footed cuts. They bound through there, actually jumping through the hole. And D'Angelo Evans keeps great balance as he weaves his way through there. Really fun to watch.
Nobody in football a better two-foot cutter than Barry Sanders. You'll see him on Monday Night Football on ABC against Tampa Bay. Sometimes he looks like he's got 3 feet he's cutting with. Second down and goal at the 2-yard line. Straight eye set now with 2 tight ends. Evans again the tail. Newcomb on the option. Keeper got there. Touchdown.
Not a better offense inside the 10-yard line than option football with a quarterback that knows how to do it. And Bobby Newcomb weaved his way into the end zone.
Newcomb from 2 yards out, and it's 41-7. Mike Rucker, who made that last play.
Watch how smart he is, Brad. He gets off the field before he does his celebration. You think those rules haven't had an effect? Get over to the sideline now, dude. Take that helmet.
Extra point number 101 straight for Chris Brown. He's had a lot of practice kicking extra points thanks to the offense in front of him. In this case, Bobby Newcomb. It's 42-7. Bobby Newcomb talking with head coach Frank Solich. Has scored from 3 yards out in the first quarter, 2 yards out here in the third quarter, 42-7.
Brad, you say head coach, but also offensive coordinator.
Right.
Because that's what Tom Osborne did here for years, called his own plays. And I think Frank was more excited about that, the opportunity to call the plays, than he is about being the head coach.
He said it's really fun. It's fun, especially when you're up 42-7.
Yeah, those are easy calls.
Jarzinka sees this one sail over his head.
You know, Brad, we talked at the beginning of this game, since the big loss here that Nebraska had. You know, you kind of zero in on what Nebraska did, but this is a proud squad here from Washington, and this is tough to take for Washington. Everyone knew coming into this season that this was a year they had to get through. They had that shocking win against Arizona State, but today this is tough to swallow. And Jim Lambright, yesterday you could almost sense that he had a feeling things could go bad.
The Huskies have been bounced around and trail 42-7. Heward, the most bruised collie of the day, if you will, and he's back to throw again. Flips it out complete. Pickup of about 8 to Andre Desaussure, his second catch of the day. Ralph Brown over there to make the tackle. Nebraska apparently on its way to its 91st victory of the 90s. That's what you call dominating people.
That's hard to believe.
It is. It really is. 3 national championships, 1 a co-national championship. If you're somebody from Nebraska that's watching this game, we realize that that was the case last year, but 94, 95, 97. Inside handoff to Shaw, and Maurice Shaw short of the first down. Aaron Wills with the tackle.
Excuse me. The discombobulation of the Washington offense is really, you know, unbelievable to even watch. Even on a clean handoff, Brock is falling to the ground, and you just feel that pressure of that Nebraska penetration on every play, the intensity of their defense. It's just got Washington off balance here, and they just can't find their track.
Marcus Tuiasosopo has checked in to to the Huskies lineup. Let's see where he goes. Number 11. He'll come out in the slot to the right.
Yep, there he is, right there.
3rd and short. Now he'll come in motion toward the ball. They give it straight ahead and stoned right there by Steve Warren, the big tackle. And that is going to be 4th down. Oof. Big collision. Steve Warren only about 6'1", but about 306 pounds. Watch it coming at you.
Right up the gut. Point of attack, not blocked very well again, and that's just it's tough to watch. It is tough to watch if you're a Washington fan, and really a Pac-10. You know, people have been saying the Pac-10 is so strong this year. This Big 12 conference is really making a statement lately, I think.
We've seen Kansas State and Nebraska in back-to-back weeks. They're both pretty darn good. Fleming to punt, and he just got it away, and it's a pretty nice punt. Penalty marker down. He may have been rough. Walker fields the kick, reverses his field twice, and is not going to get away. Now we apparently have either running into or roughing the kicker. Penalty marker on the other end of the field, too. Either way, it should be a 1st down.
That's
Jamie Burrow is the guy that's going to pick up the penalty.
Jamie Burrow been in the game all game. We haven't even mentioned him. All the special teams, and then we said we find him when he roughs the punter on the play.
He got so close to this ball.
He goes, I got this one. National.
Oh, I don't have it. Now, that was just a little touch.
That was really good acting that time.
Fleming with the Academy Award presentation, but they call it. And
But, I mean, is there any doubt if it's roughing the punter, it's an automatic 1st down.
yeah, even if it's running into the punter, it's a 1st down because they only had 4th down and about 2 feet to go.
Several fouls. The first
Several
foul
fouls.
is going to be off on the offense, and holding on the defense. We had a dead ball foul, which will assess back to the previous spot.
Whew, man,
That's it.
that's a lot of penalties.
Yep. 3 penalties on one play. That's like WWF football right here. You know, you just go with whatever happens.
So walk it all back. It's been a second half of fumbles and fumbles for Washington. That one by Heward, that one by McAviga, gave it right back to the Huskies. And Brock Heward gets nailed as he's throwing, and that turns into Bobby Newcomb 2-yard touchdown. Sloppy 3rd quarter, only 3.5 minutes in. So what it all means is that Ryan Fleming is going to have to do it again. They'll replay the down.
Going to have to do it again with a 15-yard penalty.
I don't know how they get a 15-yard penalty out of illegal procedure.
The only I can think of is that the point of the spot for the holding penalty was 4 or 5 yards deep in the backfield.
That probably is the case. Yep. With a 15-yard drop on a snap, you're probably exactly right, my friend. So 4th down at any rate, and Fleming from his own goal line. Let's see if they give him that same kind of pressure. Nope. They back off, and he hits it off the side of his foot. And only crossed midfield by about 2 yards. So it's going to be excellent field position for the Cornhuskers. They're already in excellent position, up 42-7. There's some guys full of 10W30 up there. they're up on top of what's being constructed outside Memorial Stadium. Inside, there's been destruction by the Nebraska team, 42-7. The pitch, D'Angelo Evans got a nice block from McAviga, cut inside that. Inside the 40, down the sideline, he tiptoes. They're going to mark him out at the 27, I believe. It's still about 25 yards.
I mean, Washington is a pretty decent football team. Can you imagine what a Nebraska team can do to some average football teams? I mean, when they get it going, when their fullback comes, McAviga's going to come right here. Fullback, he's going to get his guy after the fake. He makes his block, and then D'Angelo turns the corner. Just fun to watch. Hand signals, sometimes they don't mean a thing. You just as easily hand the ball to the fullback.
There he is, McAviga, and he's got a dozen. Boy, he's powerful. Jeray Butler finally helped to bring him down.
Well, you know how a cornerback, Brad, you'll be covering a guy, he can run a slant, he can run an out, he can run a comeback, he can run a post or a takeoff. Well, that's how you feel if you're a defensive lineman for Washington. I mean, you can be blocked down, you can be double teamed, you can be trapped, you can have nobody blocking you in an option play. It's just so many looks as a defensive lineman. After a while, you just ended up there standing there peeking in the backfield trying to figure out what's going on. At
the 15-yard line, first down, Cornhuskers. Makovica again bangs his way down to the 9. Give him about 6 more. And right now he is 537 yards away from being the all-time fullback rusher in Nebraska history. And so if I said earlier that he matches up with the Rathmans and those guys, there's a reason. He knows how to run with the ball as well as block.
And just think of this. This is a Nebraska line, offensive line, that had to replace 4 out of their 5 starters.
That's right.
And they're not even scared. This is not a huge offensive line. I mean, they're not tall. They're just so efficient in what they do.
Here's a little counter, and Evans goes down. It's about the first time they've lost yardage today with a running play. PTR McGrath, our ace statistician, says it's the second time they've lost yardage on a play. There hasn't been many all year, and certainly not today. They're up 42-7. There's a guy that was a fullback in the 60s, if you can believe that, about a 165-pound fullback maybe for Bob Devaney. At least he maybe weighs that now.
Nickname of Fearless Frankie.
Yep.
It's easy to be fearless with this offense, isn't it?
Look at D'Angelo Evans averaging 13 yards a carry. Keeper by Newcomb, and this time a nice job defensively by Lester Towns, who's been playing through that injury, has been in and out of the game today, the defensive captain of Washington.
It's exactly what's happening. You got guys out there that are saying, if I'm going down, I want to go down on my shield on the field. I don't want to be on the sideline. Don't take me out now, coach.
That knocks it back just outside the 13. Lester, one of the junior captains, he and Brock Huard, junior captains. And that just goes back to telling you what Gary said earlier. They've got so few seniors on this team that for the first time in a long time, the Huskies have 2 junior captains. Chris Brown will try a 30-yard field goal. Had a string of 17 straight snapped against California, and he missed this one too.
Well, he kicked it so true. It just, it's like one of my drives. It just wasn't on the fairway. It was nice. It looked good. It went
a long way.
All the way. Pull out another one, Gary Mulligan.
Chris doesn't get a mulligan. Washington gets the football back.
Nice swing. Nice ball flight. Pretty.
Maybe they teed it up too high.
Yeah, he pauses and just pushed it outside the fairway.
Just a little bit out in the rough.
There it is. Nice swing. He's got one of those new Callaway Big Berthers right there.
We just got word that Mark McGuire has hit a home run today.
What's that, 67?
67.
Oh, he went past my number.
You said 66. You made that prediction.
Oh,
intercepted. Nope, they're going to say he's down. It's Walker who picked that ball off. They say his knee touched down on the contact with Dane Looker over there. And the day continues to get worse for Brock Huard.
It was not a great throw. Dane Looker kind of had to adjust to the ball to the outside. Another one of those things where the quarterback is just hurrying a bit. No one in his face, throws it low and away. Should have been caught, but when things go bad, they go real bad. And, let's see. Now, what did McGuire's got, 67? I think Nebraska's got a chance at 67.
They might. They might.
They could pass Babe Ruth here today, or Mark McGuire, or whoever.
We've seen a lot of Heisman hopefuls take it on the chin lately. Ricky Williams last week, Brock Huard today. I think you can evaporate all those notions about the Heisman for both those guys. And a couple linemen doing a dance, heading in different directions.
Jason Schwab was quick. He was just off on the wrong count.
Right. Illegal procedure against Nebraska. Ohio State's idle today, and Nebraska certainly is not going to lose any votes. Washington will.
No, they won't. And I think everyone's just going to kind of stand pat right there. That's a nice matchup next week, isn't it? Penn State, Ohio State right there.
Yep, we'll have that one for you. We'll see 5th-ranked UCLA. They won't change either as far as their ranking because they didn't play. And you somehow missed it. Their game in Miami against the Hurricanes due to Hurricane George. That was one hurricane they couldn't overcome. I understand it was actually nice enough weather today they could have played the game, but they made the cancellation already back on Thursday. So UCLA will stay 5th ranked in the country.
It was a pretty good football team as Oregon. I think they're surprisingly good this year. Keely Smith, their quarterback's another quarterback this year. The year of the quarterback who's going to get drafted into the NFL.
Yep, Todd and John talked about that at halftime. It's a good batch. 2nd and 10, just inside the 20. Evans, the I-back. Newcomb drops back to throw. Lofts one out to the tight end all alone. Sheldon Jackson, touchdown. Now, wait a minute. One official said touchdown. One has spotted it at the 1.5.
Yes. And this was a design play to go to Sheldon Jackson all the way. He faked, he fell down, and let all of the pursuit go to the opposite side of the field, then got up and made the play. There he is right here. Watch him go in here and block, and then get up and catch the play wide open. Tight end, snap the ball. It's a long snap count we got going right here. It's on 12. On 3, 13. Goes down. He falls down, then he gets back up, throws it up there. That's a nice. I could complete that one.
Jackson dives, and one official says touchdown.
I thought this was a touchdown, didn't you? Well, he stepped on the line.
You see the headlinesman and the back judge, two different versions, and they're still talking about it.
Well, I think they worked together right that time. One guy was looking at the pylon, the other guy was looking at the outside line. They flipped a coin, and they got no touchdown.
Well, we'll flip it, take a timeout, and be back. On the sideline, Marcus Tuiasosopo warming up. Maybe the quarterback the rest of the way for Washington. At least he'll see some more duty.
It's like Lions and Christians, you know. I mean, okay, one guy's down, send in the next gladiator.
1st and goal. Makovica. Forward progress may have gotten him to the 1. Odell George in on the tackle.
Really got the feeling they're trying to get Makovica a touchdown here, aren't they?
He's about the only guy that hasn't scored so far in the backfield.
It's nice when you can dole out your scoring to different guys, too.
Newcomb's got 2 on the ground. D'Angelo Evans has 3. And 5 of 7 times in the red zone has produced points today. A missed field goal, 1 turnover that really didn't matter at all. And now it's D'Angelo Evans in that power eye, and Makovica, the motion man, out of it. Evans, number 4.
I don't know, looks short to me.
Down underneath. Back to Aiea. Todd Johnson, the linebacker, and they spotted that close.
Really interesting. You send your fullback out in motion there, like you know, why
very
should you
deceptive.
Follow? Yeah, why should you follow him? You know, not like you're going to throw a fade route.
I would have given anything if Newcomb would have thrown a pass there. I would have fallen right out of this booth, and this one's up here a ways. Down at the couple-inch line. Makovica and Evans and flags all over the place.
That's often what happens there when you go on a quick count. The defense starts to feel that. They start yelling stuff down
Dead
there.
ball.
Like,
Ball start offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay the 3rd down.
What happens is the deep offense moves on the defense's first sound. And that's exactly what happened right there. The Washington guy started yelling out stuff, and Jason Schwab said, I thought that sounded like Bobby. Didn't that sound like Bobby? I swear that was you.
Jason Schwab, that's his 2nd penalty in this quarter, so you'll probably hear something else from that guy maybe on Monday. Now they back it up. This gives them a little better look at it from about the 5-yard line. Frankie London, he's going to lead the pack on the option. The pitch to Evans. He's run out of bounds by Renard Edwards at the 3. And now the fans want Nebraska to go for it. On 4th down and goal from about the 3-yard line.
Nice little stand here by the Washington defense.
Not quitting. Don't see the kicking unit yet. And we're not going to see the kicking unit.
It's one of those plays where whatever you do here, you're running up to score. If you kick the field goal, you're running up to score. If you try to run it in, you're running up to score. You might as well practice your offense.
So it will be Evans and Makovica behind Newcomb. 4th and goal at the 3-yard line. Newcomb is going to have to keep it, and he scored. His 3rd of the day.
College defense very well that time. Bernard Edwards, number 3, pushed Newcomb back into the backfield right about there, but he has enough speed to turn it up, run through Brendan Jones's tackle, and fall into the end zone. He's got some quick feet, I'll tell you that.
Nebraska came into this game averaging what they say only 39.3 points a game. They're about to tack on their 49th right here. And the extra point is good.
You see the numbers were pretty much in Washington's favor this time as he comes out, fakes it to Makovica. Here's the guy right here that he has to beat to the outside, Edwards. Now watch this, make the fake, pretty good leverage, 2 men out there, but Makovic is the guy that gets the block. The fullback makes the fake, seeks out the safety that time, makes the block, and that turns it into a touchdown.
And I'm sure that's only a cramp from scoring 3 times.
Right. Right now, I think that's enough, Coach. Put in Couch.
Couch. Coach, go to the crouch.
Go to the crouch. A little tight, Coach.
3 touchdowns on the ground today for Newcomb, 5 for the year. 49-7. Washington came in ranked 8th, and they are taking it on the kisser. Tuiasosopo just about set.
Of course, this is Cardinal country here.
It's about the only hit we haven't had today. We've had enough hits on the Washington team by the Nebraska defense. Butler and Jarzinka are waiting on a kick that probably will never be fielded.
So that's how I'd have my act. Why do you need height on a kick? Just get it out of the end zone.
We got a flag, but while we've got a break in the action, let's check in with John Saunders in New York. John?
Right, USC against Florida State, and both offenses were struggling somewhat. Chris Wenke then back to pass, spots Peter Warwick just 5 yards on the touchdown. And USC is trailing 20-3, but they just busted off a big run deep into Florida State territory. Also, Notre Dame, a late interception and then a field goal. They knock off Purdue after trailing throughout most of the game. Brad, back to you.
Notre Dame knocks off Purdue-ski.
You know what? Don't show Brock Hewitt those highlights of Winky in the pocket right there. Because Winky had enough time to have a Twinkie and then throw it.
Brock hasn't have enough time to have a sip of water back there.
Exactly.
So we're going to kick this again. And let's see if Brown can knock another one out of the end zone. Somebody got across the line just a little too quickly.
Your parents out there of some young quarterback, teach him how to play outside linebacker. It's more fun.
To be the hitter instead of the hittee.
Right. That big bullseye.
Might have a chance to return this one. No, maybe not. Jarzinka says, I'm bringing it. Joe Jarzinka. Across the 20, broke a tackle, and out near the 30-yard line. The little fella has Washington's only touchdown today on a 6-yard pass from Brock Hewitt.
So Jarzinka's way out there. 8 yards in this time, huh? Can he take it back?
I didn't think so. First down at the 30 with Marcus Tuiasosopo at the controls now. And the sophomore will give it off to a ground game that is non-existent. Maurice Shaw hit by Carlos Polk that time. 7 plays and 3 turnovers the last 3 possessions. Tuiasosopo actually starred, if you want to call it that, in the 27-14 loss to Nebraska up in Seattle last year. The true freshman went for 270 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He's got great wheels. The quarterbacking situation in Washington will be left in good hands if indeed Brock Hewitt goes to the NFL after this season. Different kind of quarterback, though. Good arm, not a great arm, but can really run. And that one he threw out. Wide receiver Todd Elstrom was running in, and we'll check in with John Saunders in New York.
Brad, here's what we were talking about USC against Florida State. After the 7-0 score, Frank Strong takes the ball and busts it right through the defense. 73 yards. He is finally caught down at the 7-yard line. But then on the very next play, Chad Morton punched the ball across. So USC back within 10, 2010 Florida State. Brad.
All right, John, thanks. Here it's 49-7. We barely saw Frank Strong play in the USC game we did to kick off the season in the Pigskin Classic, but big run for him there. 3rd down and 9. Draw play. And Shaw finally gets some running room. And Maurice Shaw's got a first down out to the 47-yard line.
Ball carried by Maurice Shaw.
That's the longest run of the day by Washington. Picked up 16 yards.
First down, Washington.
Not much to smile about for the Huskies today. This was to be their first test, and I don't want to say they flunked it, but they didn't get a good grade so far.
I really think, though, in all fairness to Washington, their first test at Arizona State game was a huge win for them. That
Yes,
was
it
a
was.
huge upset. So Pac-10-wise, they're sitting pretty nice. Nationally, they weren't in the hunt anyway.
Tuiasosopo zips one out to Looker, and Dean's got it to the 44-yard line, a pickup of 9.
Tuiasosopo also threw for 270 yards in that game. Of course, he entered the game when it was already, 21-0 when
Yes.
he got in the football game. So there was probably some gimme yardage there. But then he came back in that Oregon game when he started. He threw for 261 and ran for 95. And that's what he brings to this thing. And that's what Washington fans will see in the future, a guy who can do both.
He's got 3 rushes this year for 61 yards, including a 46-yard burst last week. Here he is trying to roll and throw and being chased. Got away from it somehow. Had a pass tipped and intercepted. Picked off by Chad Kelsey, the rush in. Boy, when things are going right, Brian Shaw was the guy giving chase. Kelsey, the defensive end, comes up with the interception.
You're exactly right. Brian Shaw, number 46. Now get this. He has the all-time best agility run for his position as a linebacker. He chases down Tuiasosopo there. It's tipped up in the air, and then Kelsey, the rush end, ends up picking that thing off. Brian Shaw is a 4.0 student. He's a walk-on here in Nebraska, and he has the all-time record for the agility run here at Nebraska. What an athlete.
5-yard gain with the fullback, Willie Miller, in there for Makovic. It's an entirely different backfield right now as Monte Cristo's in at quarterback. And as Gary said earlier, Bobby Newcomb, coach, I'm a little tight in the hamstring. I've scored 3 touchdowns. Maybe it is time for the backup.
Well, that's one of the great benefits for being a backup at Nebraska. You get to play a lot.
You sure do. Cristo played a lot last week, 2 weeks ago, I should say, in the win over Cal. Gives it to the fullback again. Miller tripped up this time. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe got a yard out of it. So right now, Nebraska having the luxury of letting the majority of their starters sit here, and they've got a 3rd down and 4 coming up with 3.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, leading 49-7.
Brian Shaw again. Weak side linebacker. He 4.0 average at Nebraska in animal science.
The whole team's full of animals.
It doesn't take a lot of scientists to know he's fast.
You can study your teammates, I think, the way they're playing. And it looks like a first down near the 45. Todd Johnson. Shaw would not even be the starting linebacker were it not for Tony Ortiz going down with a concussion Tuesday in practice. That gives you a little bit of an idea of the depth.
And he started the first 3 games a year ago, and Ortiz kind of replaced them, but both of them really are the guys that are playing now. Nice job, huh?
Not bad.
Another one of those high school running backs who walked onto this program, and that's what makes this program so tough. So many in-state kids that just want to go to Nebraska.
Monte Cristo's battled through a lot of injuries in his 5 years in Nebraska and keeps it here and goes down to the 38-yard line. So many guys would have given up. He's had thumb surgery in both hands. He's had just about everything you can have happen to you. A senior walk-on in his own right. He had an injured knee. He's going to graduate at the end of this semester, and out there running the show right now.
Yeah, he had knee surgery, thumb surgery, and back surgery. That sounds like me.
Second down and a long 2.
Giants winning again. Are they going to steal this thing?
Amazing that heading into the final 2 days of the season, the wild card race was in a 3-way tie after what happened last night. And Cristo has got a first down on the keeper. We were watching the games last night, quite a few of us, and seeing Sosa hit his home run and then ordering one more round of sodas and then seeing McGuire hit his 45 minutes later. We had a great time watching that action last night. Straight ahead, Miller. And the big fella still going out of the 17-yard line. And number 17, Lester Towns, finally brings him down.
Just amazing what Nebraska can do with a few options. No flanked receivers that time. No spread offense. They have 11 guys. Here's all 11 guys right here in the box for Nebraska. All 11 guys, and then look at that hole they run through. You'd think you wouldn't be able to run the ball up the middle with no receivers in there, but Nebraska stretches that defense with the threat of the option.
Buckhalter gets it down to the 10-yard line, maybe inside the 10. So about 8 more yards, and now 377 on the ground for Nebraska, and they're getting back in that kind of gear they were last year when they averaged 384 per game.
Yep.
2 tight end set. Buckhalter, the tailback. This time the fullback has stood up immediately. Miller got nailed by Jabari Issa. And we're winding down the final minute of the third quarter. Jabari, a junior, who's one of the real run stoppers for this team, but there hasn't been much stopping the Nebraska offense today.
Randy Hart has a saying that he likes to attribute that defense in football basically is organized chaos. And right now, Jabari Issa would affirm that, because he has no idea who has the ball most of the time.
Buckhalter has it right now to about the 1-foot line. You take out D'Angelo Evans, you put in Buckhalter.
Did he explode through there?
Yes, he did.
A lot of competition to get the ball here at Nebraska.
Only the 3rd signee ever from the state of Mississippi to the Nebraska team, Corral Buckhalter, and he almost halted that one right into the end zone. Very close.
I thought he was close, but it was the right call. He was about a half yard short.
See if he gets the call here. 1st and goal. The fullback, Miller, touchdown. Willie Miller from a yard out, and the starting battery mates can just sit back and have fun.
Hand it off to the fullback. Everybody's wondering, are you going to go option? What are you going to do and just leap over there? What a drive. Just the backups in there, and Washington is not substitute. They still got a lot of their starters in there.
Dan Haydenfeld's going to try an extra point. Chris Brown's got to be tired from either extra points or kicking off. And Haydenfeld has it deflected and missed it. I think Jabari Issa got a hand on it, but still, with just 6 seconds left in the quarter, it is 55-7. Haydenfeld was the guy that kicked that one. Still 6 seconds left in the quarter. 1 second left.
You know, Brad, what you got to do when you're at Nebraska, you got to make sure all the lights are working on this side of the scoreboard right here. No. You got to make sure the 5s and the 6s are working, because they use all the light bulbs on that side.
What you don't want is have one end up in there.
That's right.
sometime.
If they need
that
one,
would be...
that's a problem. Like, if that ever happens, boy, we are really. But you got to make sure they got all the light bulbs on that left side right there.
They've been lighting them up. 55-7 with 1 play left, third quarter. Frank Solich, this was to be his first test as the first-year head coach, and with flying colors, he's going to pass this one. His team has dominated this one from the outset. Tuiasosopo again in for Brock Ewart at quarterback. Counter to Willie Hurst, and the freshman out for about 9 yards to the 29 to bring the third quarter to a close. 55-7, number 2 Nebraska leading this one. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Brock Ewart saw his older brother Damon be a backup quarterback the year that Washington upset Nebraska back 7 seasons ago. It's not going to happen today. It's been all Cornhuskers, and now Washington with a second down and about a yard from their own 29-yard line. Hurst in motion out of the backfield. First man through is kind of the fullback, and first down out to the 35-yard line. You know, I don't know what it is about you and I. Maybe we're in the wrong spots. We've ended up with so many blowout games. Maybe we should switch positions.
You want to do that?
Maybe. You take that side, I'll take this side.
I'm writing on my little instrument over here.
I can't deal with that.
You can go across.
Okay, we'll give you one play of play.
Well, let me try it here.
All right.
All right.
I'm tired anyway.
55-7, 1st and 10. Tuiasosopo, of course, started a game last year when Brock was hurt. Comes out with 4 wide receivers. I did the pen something today. Looks like a few people in motion there. Hurst, though, is the guy who got it. I don't see a flag anywhere. 7 yards on the carry. Oh, I got to do the promo. I like this. Thursday night.
Tuesday night.
Oh, Tuesday night. After Spin City, one of the new ABC comedy hits of the fall from the writer of A Few Good Men. Go behind the scenes of live television sports night. Tuesday, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I watched it Tuesday night.
You feel
Pretty
threatened
good.
yet?
No, not yet. You want this one or not?
Tuiasosopo finds across the middle. Chris Lang, I think it was. Tuiasosopo hit Lang coming across the middle.
I guess it was Chris Jurgen. I was trying to help you out there. Crossing pattern. Tuiasosopo, as you see, goes back, buys himself some time, and you're going to see right there a little crossing pattern, a little drag route, we call that, and Chris Jurgens.
Let me ask you this, Brad. As a backup quarterback coming into this situation, what are you trying to accomplish here?
I'm trying to make sure I erase the telestrator after I put a line on it. We'll go back.
10.
Okay, you're going to one more play.
Yeah,
then I'm taking
over. I want to do it. It looks like they're going to run a little counter play here. Oh, I'm doing both.
Nice block. Whoops, I'm not supposed to say that. Braxton Kleeman picked up 8.
You know, there's a theory. Find something you do well and stick to it.
Maybe we both should, huh?
Oh,
well, we did our best.
That was an out-of-body experience, wasn't it?
You actually got Washington 2 first downs. So maybe there is something to switching sides. I'm not sure.
We have had trouble this year keeping games close, that's for sure.
The blowout kings, here we are. We've had some lopsided ones, that's for sure, and we're looking for one of those 20-point games just to keep it interesting.
You know, Nebraska, just a much better football team than people thought coming into this season.
Tuiasosopo, second down along 2, buys time, goes long, got a man. Oh, what a catch. No, not a catch. Andy Carroll had his hands on it. He just couldn't quite haul it in.
You know, I noticed the problem was Clint, the spotter, just backed right off. You know, didn't give me one spot the whole time I was doing the play-by-play.
I give him money for that. Right. That was close.
Yeah, he had Carroll that time wide open, at least 8 yards behind any defender. And, oh, my.
Tuiasosopo and his would-be receiver. And now it's third down. And along 2, 13:34 left. That is a deceiving third down conversion statistic there for Washington. Quick drop. And throwing behind is tight end Reggie Davis. Incomplete.
You know, Washington's having a disaster today, but they did start out their season winning at Arizona State. And that's going to feel good as you look at the rest of that schedule in October. Notice October, all these games at home right here. That's a nice October for them to have.
Look at that finish, though.
But the finish is where it comes in. You're right. At USC, at Oregon, and at Washington State with a team by the name of UCLA stuck in between. But still, for a young team, I think it's nice to have all those home games in October to play and get ready.
Fleming to punt. Walker lets it go. Washington might have a play on this one. Got close. 43-yard kick, and Nebraska will start to work offensively from the 20-yard line when we come back. Fullback Billy Legate, the third fullback, gets the carry as Nebraska starts this time from their own 20-yard line. They've been on a short field really all day long when you consider how many times they've started in Washington territory to start a drive. The Husky defense has probably got to be enjoying the fact that they had to work from their own 20-yard line on this snap with a little under 13 minutes left. There you see 22 times starting in the opposition's end of the field. That's how you win a lot of ball games. Proves how good their defense was today, too.
Especially the second half. It has been an avalanche. And, you know, I think actually anything you make here that has anything to do with Nebraska football sells.
I think so.
I mean, if that hat sells, anything will sell around. You can make $1 million just thinking of something around here that'll fit with Cornhusker.
That one is husked, and so have the Huskies been husked today. Third down at 13. Cristo, that had batted in the air, and he still completed it.
Well, there's been 3 tipped balls in this game. 2 for interceptions and 1 for a completion. Each time it went against Washington.
Billy Hathke made the grab. And it's still 4th down, so they're going to have to punt it away. Fourth down and about 4.
Nebraska is one of the few teams, you look right here, that has not gone to the wide type of bandits to the outside. They put all their guys tight right here. They have not changed. They did it 20 years ago. They still do it. They cover punts as good as anybody in the country.
Lure's kick takes a great Nebraska bounce. Goes out of bounds right about where the official was standing at the 41-yard line. Cornhuskers are having fun. Why not? They lead 55-7. Well, Microsoft and gates, and I think the gates are locked here. You've got to be a Lincoln police officer to get in here. 76,300 plus on hand to watch this one, and they have enjoyed what they've seen today. All Nebraska. Sept on a handoff, and it's Braxton Clement out to about the 44-yard line. Carlos Polk made the tackle. We're under 12 minutes here, 55-7.
And Marquise Tuiasosopo is the latest in the line of a lot of great quarterbacks at Washington. Brock Huard is the guy, the incumbent this year. But, you know, 7 out of the last 8 quarterbacks, and there have been some great ones at Washington, have come within 100 miles of the campus.
Wow.
The only exception is Brunel, I'm sorry. And, you know, he came from California, but you get most of them right from that great Pacific Northwest. Factor in Washington State and the guys they've had up there. There's been some quarterbacks coming out.
Pass intended for Anthony Mizzen, the tight end, and he couldn't hold it. It'll bring up 3rd down and 7. Brock Huard had a tough day. 2 weeks in a row it's been tough.
Right, that's the only spot he didn't get hit today. It's right there on the nose, right there. It's a stinker for this guy. 18 for 32.
He was hit a lot today, and we just got word from the truck that Big Mac, Mark McGuire, has hit number 68.
2 today. Holy cow.
Has he answered the call every time Sosa's made a push?
Last time he passed him, he went on a tear, and now he's got 2 of them again today. Holy cow.
That is something. I just wish they both end up tied. It would be great. 3rd down and 7 at the 45. Quick drop, quarterback draw. A lot of room for Tuiasosopo. He's still on his feet. Down to the 38-yard line. Good run, 18 yards. That's the dimension he can give you. We talked about the quarterbacks in Washington history. Most of them are that prototype drop back tall guy in the pocket, except Brunel. But Warren Moon still playing with Seattle, the starter, and they're off to a 3-0 start. Chris Chandler will start tomorrow. Maybe his biggest game as a Falcon at San Francisco against the 49ers. Mark Brunel, Jacksonville Jaguars. Just some of the guys. Kerry Conklin was a heck of a quarterback and is on this staff now as an assistant coach, and the list seems to go on and on.
Yeah, not only that, but you factor in Washington State into this thing with, you know, the Thompson, Ripien, Tim Rosenbaum, Bledsoe, and Ryan Leaf.
Yep.
I mean, you know, they're just over and over guys coming out of that Pacific Northwest.
And we would be remiss not to mention our friend who is one of the tops on the list at Washington, Sonny Sixkiller.
Sonny Sixkiller at Washington, down the booth here doing the radio. He's one of the guys I played against when I played against Washington.
Some pretty good names. It's one thing a 55-7 score allows us to do, Gary, is just sit here and talk.
I think they stole the ball, too. Nebraska's got that ball. They stripped it.
Clement, now they're going to say Polk that he was down.
He wasn't down. I was watching that one pretty close. Looked like Polk and Lohr, Jason Lohr and Carlos Polk took that ball away cleanly.
6 turnovers have turned into 35 points, a season high in penalties and some drop passes. You mix all that together and then you play a better team.
Right.
And ouch.
You know, often you look at this and you say a lot of those penalties were on force, but I just got the feeling that this Nebraska persistent rush has really forced a lot of these turnovers and mistakes.
Virtually the same amount of plays. You can see the difference. 469 total for Nebraska. Tuiasosopo rifles it down inside the 30. It's a first down toss. And he got it out there to Austin.
Late flag again on this play.
And it is holding against Washington. So just when they get a positive play or two, it turns around and goes the other way. That's their 12th penalty now. And this one takes away a first down.
And again, it's holding because they can't block them.
That's right.
And they're trying to save their quarterback. It's not just like, you know, they're holding Slippery Rock here. They're holding Nebraska.
And they're holding a lot of Nebraska guys that are second-line players. Aaron Wills is in there. You mentioned Jason Lohr. Vanden Bosch, who has been creating havoc today. Lohr's a true freshman. He's still in there at tackle. They do a little stunt as they try to get to Tuiasosopo, who's airing it long. And he showed his arm. Give him that much. Almost hit the goal line, intended for Andre Desaussure.
Can you remember in the game when they've thrown the ball deep to Warren?
No, I don't believe they have.
Warren Hooker not one time, have they? I don't think
You
so.
said they should have one time, and then they did complete one to Desaussure for 42 yards. Other than that, they haven't gone downtown.
I really haven't seen them really just say, all right, just go long. I'm going to throw one as far as I can and at least try it.
Hooker has only one catch, and it didn't do much damage.
And that was a short crossing route early in the game, maybe a 2 or 3 yard catch, and he ran about 8 or 9 yards.
So 4th and 25. Washington a man shy. Finally, they hustle in the extra punt team member, and Fleming to kick. About the only thing Nebraska hasn't done today is run back a kick or punt for a score.
He's going to get a shot here.
From the 6. Not much of a shot. Good coverage. 8 minutes, 55 seconds remaining. It's 55-7. Ravens in that one after replacing Jim Harbaugh 3 weeks in a row. Monte Cristo, talk about replacement quarterback. Look at him bounce around. He got about 12 on the run. He got hit about 12 times en route, too. This is what they showed during our timeout here at Memorial Stadium. Up on the Jumbotron. Mark McGuire going deep for number 68, as if the fans here haven't had enough to cheer about. There was a huge eruption from the 76,000 on hand.
Yep, everybody's sitting here, not enough action. Let's show McGuire.
They're all wearing the right color, too, for Big Mac.
Or as Ted Kennedy would say, Mike McGuire.
And Sammy Sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
Jeez. Some nights you just stay up too late, don't you? Oh.
All right, what happened?
Monday night. Al and Dan and Boomer and Leslie will be bringing you Monday Night Football. Detroit Lions playing with a backup quarterback or a new #1 quarterback as well, and Charlie Batch, as they take on Tony Dungy's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won in their debut game at their new stadium last week. So that's a key game in the NFC Central. Well, we've got a moment here with 8 minutes left. Let's check in with John Saunders in New York.
Brad, time for the Burger King play of the day. Kansas State quarterback Michael Bishop. What a tremendous day. Out of his own end zone, he tosses this one to Aaron Lockett, who takes off 97 yards on the touchdown. Bishop passed for 441 yards and 4 touchdowns today.
Whew. Did most of it with his wheels last week, doing it with his arm today.
Hey, that team is real. That team is real. They're one of the few teams that can play as physical as Nebraska. They got just as good a running quarterback as Nebraska has.
November 14th is the collision date. If they can both stay undefeated, how good would that game be? We've We've seen them back-to-back weeks now, the two best teams in the Big 12, and they have looked all of what the pregame billing has been for us anyway.
Yeah, and that puts Michael Bishop into this thing for the Heisman too.
Yeah,
it's
we thought last week that he just wouldn't, quite frankly, get the stats, but he starts putting those kind of weeks together with some of the other guys coming backwards.
one other thing he has to do. He has to continue to win, and he's got a good enough football team to win. And just like Charles Woodson did a year ago, Michael Bishop wins and puts up those type of numbers. He's going to run the ball. I think Donovan McNabb is also going to stay in it all year too.
And a first down run for Dan Alexander. I got a sneaky one for you. Champ Bailey at Georgia.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're going to do that twice in a row. You know, he's a great football player.
Brock Heward is pretty much out of it with those numbers today and what went on here today.
Brad, we've done a lot of blowouts, and we've done a lot of games. 5 minutes left to go. There's nobody in the stands. But if you look at the stands here, these people think they're watching spring football or something. You know, I mean, they stay in here. They want to see the recruits, the new young players in the future, the sophomores. You know, they got a few people penciled in for a couple of years from now.
Fumble.
They do not leave. Everybody is still here. We're getting paid. We got to stay. I mean, everybody else.
You're getting paid for this? Well, they tailgate before the game and after the game here, too. That has something to do with it. You're right. This has the feeling of a Kentucky basketball game. They stay at Rupp Arena about 3 hours afterwards just to listen to Tubby Smith's radio show. So it has that same kind of appeal. Well, Washington got it back with the fumble. Way too little and way too late. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson back with 6:23 left in the ball game. 55-7 Nebraska. Another quarterback in, redshirt freshman J.K. Scott in at the controls for Washington. And another freshman, Hurst, gets the call and gets popped for his efforts. Travis Tolee made the tackle. Well, if this one holds up and Washington doesn't score, it'll be the most lopsided win ever over a top 10 team. It'll be the 45th consecutive home victory. Right now, that's 5th all time in the NCAA record book. Miami had a stretch of 58 at one point in their reign. An 11th consecutive win over a top 10 team. The previous mark of beating a top 10 team was in '92. They beat Colorado by 45 points. And Colorado, quite frankly, is about the only team that's had any kind of success against Nebraska in this conference. And that is their final game of the season on November 27th. You'll see it on ABC. So the Buffaloes and the Cornhuskers get together. Don't forget, coming up on the West Coast, our college football regional doubleheader continues. A battle in the Pac-10. Washington State unbeaten against Cal. Don't forget, check your local listings for the game in your area. Call your cable or satellite company for games available on pay-per-view. But it's a big game for Washington State. And if they win that one, their matchup that we'll see next week in Pasadena with UCLA will be a very, very big game at this stage of the season. Blitz on third down. The ball tipped at the line again. And Jeremy Slechta is the guy that got a hand on that one. Number 90, another true freshman.
Yeah, Slechta along with Lohr, Jason Lohr, two true freshmen. Charlie McBride said he's never had two true freshmen play and be backups for him at Nebraska since he's been here.
They're standing right next to each other in the middle there.
That's bad news for the Big 12.
Yes,
isn't
it is. And there's Lohr, a true freshman out of Jenks High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They got a great football program there. I got a nephew that plays on that team. Fourth down. Fleming to punt. Boy, his kid's done a nice job today with his punting. He's had enough practice at it anyway. He drops it inside the 10, but the coverage team just can't get there again. And we've got 4 minutes and 56 seconds remaining in the ball game.
We come here on a glorious quest, a search for that which can be found nowhere else. Where, in the trenches where mighty men clash, amidst the echoes of glories past, high atop Olympus. Oh, this is our quest. This is what football is all about. Now all I gotta do is find that nacho guy.
Fullback Ben Kingston. He is the 4th fullback to play today after Makovica, Miller, Legate, and now the junior Ben Kingston. And we got another quarterback in, by the way, too. We didn't see Eric Crouch because he was coming off a hamstring problem, though he played extremely well against Cal a couple weeks ago. We've been through Bobby Newcomb, Monte Cristo, and now Jay Runny out of Elkhorn, Nebraska, and at the controls. As Gary said, the good news is when you play for Nebraska, even if you're second or third team, you're going to see a lot of action because there's going to be some of these 55s to 7.
Right, and it's not like you're in there in one of those in backup when you're getting killed.
Right.
You're usually ahead. You know, you're not getting pounded.
You're the killer instead of the killee.
It's always nice.
It is. There's Cristo, who came in and performed after Newcomb. Don't forget, at the conclusion of our game, we'll select the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game for each team. In recognition of these athletes, Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. Brock Heward will have better days, without a doubt, this season. And Runty blasts his way across the 30 for a first down. Hakeem Akbar made the tackle.
How about when we talked to Frank Solich about if a Peyton Manning or a Brock Heward or a quarterback of that type were to be playing here at Lincoln High School West or whatever, would he recruit him? He kind of smiled and said, oh, sure, you got to recruit talent like that, but we might ask him to run a little bit of option.
Not going to change too much.
Then we talked to Brock about that, and he said, you know, I talked to Tom Osborne when I was coming out, and Tom was very nice, but he said, you're not really my style. I guess you're not going to come here, are you?
Yeah, Brock said he was, Coach Osborne was very classy about it. Just said, you don't quite fit our system. Of course, Frank was a long-time high school coach in this area, and that doesn't hurt your recruiting either, to have 19 years as an assistant under your belt, having played under Bob Devaney, and then having all the successful years he had as a high school coach here in Nebraska. So the rapport they have with the teams in state is pretty phenomenal. They're up to 432, so they're well over their average. This one, no gain, really.
If they called an option play right now and tried to pitch it, they might score. It's just that Frank Solich calling the plays is being very nice and keeping the ball between the tackles.
Yes. And keeping the clock running.
Yes, but I mean, they could just run an outside play right now and go pretty far with it.
Well, the clock's not going to keep running now because they're going to call a timeout, but I think it's just completely because they have the wrong personnel in there with some backup people. We'll take a timeout, too. About 2.5 minutes left in the game. Well, folks, we missed a play while you were away, and Nebraska failed to pick up a first down on the fullback lead, and that means another punting
situation. Let me tell you, if you were
situation.
watching the rest of the game, you didn't miss much. It was the
No,
same
it
thing
was right in the middle of the field.
Right in the middle of the field.
LaFleur and Joe Jarzinka from the 12. Joe, nice move. And got almost 10 on the return. Well, the little guy has done a pretty good job today. Not only as a punt returner, he has the only touchdown for Washington on a 6-yard reception. And also brought some of those deep kickoffs out of the end zone. But this pretty much tells the story.
Yeah, when you got your starting quarterback sitting there crinking his neck and breathing out and saying, boy, I didn't know if there'd be days like this.
He walked into the practice yesterday and said, this is a pretty nice place you got here, he said to some of the folks from Nebraska, and I don't think he's going to think it's the greatest place he's ever played now, as he'll leave here on the short end, 55-7.
It was a bad omen when BYU was successful putting pressure on him last week.
He never found a rhythm last week, and he certainly didn't find one today. Brock Heward we're talking about. So now we're down to the final minute and a half of the ball game, and their coaching staff trying to say, keep your head up.
Oh, absolutely. They got a long season. They got one win in the Pac-10 conference already, a game they did not think they could win. So they just got to put it out of their mind and go on. It's not like they're the first team that ever came here to Nebraska and got beat back.
Right. Willie Hurst, the tailback, a little more duty here. Spins across the 30. Shows you a little bit of what he can do. And he'll get a lot more carries with Maurice Shaw struggling at that tailback spot. Chevrolet most valuable players in this ball game. Joe Jarzinka, who scored that touchdown, had some fearless punt and kickoff returns for Washington. And D'Angelo Evans, what a return as he splashed on the scene with a huge game today, including 3 touchdown runs and way over 100 yards. Chevrolet donation will be made to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for more than a quarter of a century. And a whistle. Oof. You take a shot after the whistle. D'Angelo Evans, by the way, 13 carries, 146 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Over 10 yards a pop. It's over 11 yards a pop.
They'd have given it to him more. They had more than that, too.
Right.
They were kind of nice to Washington in the second half. Took them out of the game. Didn't run many option plays. And, boy, I tell you, you got to feel great for him. I saw him interviewed all week, and he said he's learned a lot more about himself. You know, he said, I'm a hot shot coming out of high school. Great things happened to me right away when I came to Nebraska. I thought I owned the world. Then you have a few injuries, and you realize how important things are to you in life.
He, in high school, broke the records previously set by Barry Sanders, who we were talking about. Almost 8,500 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Loose ball at the end of that play.
He's one of those guys that the world recruited, and Nebraska won out over Notre Dame and Penn State. So he's a guy that would have looked good in any uniform, I think.
Well, the guys in the red uniforms have certainly looked good today, and that's probably is the final play of this ball game. And Nebraska, #2 in the nation. They'll stretch the nation's longest winning streak to 18 games. Their home winning streak reaches 45 games. And they exercise the demon that started the loss 45 games ago. Washington, that beat them 7 years ago, had no chance against them today. Final score, Nebraska 55, Washington 7.